Welcome to Heroes Have Wings, the podcast that gives a voice to the unsung heroes of Army aviation. I'm your host, Jason Santiago. For the Army aviators, crew chiefs, and flight medics who put it all on the line in the heat of battle, this is their opportunity to share untold stories of courage, sacrifice, and unbreakable will. From their beginnings to the battlefield, you hear about their hardships, the moments of doubt, and how they overcame impossible odds to save lives. These warriors didn't just fight for survival, they put others above themselves, embodying the true spirit of heroism and selfless service. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Heroes Have Wings. Today's guest is a warrior built from resilience, sharpened by adversity, and driven by one mission: to never quit. From growing up in the grind of Chicago, bouncing between 6 schools, and 22 years of elite military service, Phil Calcese has worn his military uniform, but he's always shown up no matter the battlefield. He's a Purple Heart recipient, a special operations aviator, and now a relentless advocate of veteran fathers fighting to stay in their children's lives. His journey has taken him through the toughest combat zones on Earth and into the heart-wrenching silence of custody battles back at home. But through it all, he's never stopped running. Not from pain, but towards purpose. Phil's not here to talk about being broken. He's here to talk about rebuilding, redefining, and refusing to be erased. This isn't just about service. This is about a legacy, fatherhood, and what it truly means to stand in the gap when life hits you hardest. Strap in. This is Phil Calcese. Welcome to Heroes Have Wings.
Jason, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to come and speak and to spread my word and to just be able to get my word out there and help vets and guys and dads, anybody that really needs this, needs help right now, because it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing. And I want to let you know, man, when Bob introduced us and your response, and I've been checking you out on Instagram, I want to let you know I'm honored and thank you for being here to, one, help me spread Heroes Have Wings so I can get wonderful aviators and heroes essentially get your story out.
Yes, sir.
And just, I want the world to know your purpose, all right? And this is what this next 3.5, 4 hours is all about. It's you. All right, so let's get it started.
Yes, sir.
We always start with quick hits. You ready?
Let's go.
All right. Coffee, energy drinks.
I'm a pre-workout man. I'm gonna skip both of those and go straight pre-workout first thing in the morning.
Caffeine?
Caffeine, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. I stay away from caffeine, man.
Oh, it's all right though.
Yeah.
I don't do coffee. I don't do energy drinks, but I do a scoop of pre-workout first thing in the morning.
Nice, love it. City life or country living?
I'm a city boy by heart, but the country, the quiet, all that stuff is more attractive to me now. So I would say I'd like a little bit of country, a little bit of land out there for my dogs.
Nice. Summer heat or winter cold?
Oh, I'm a heat man. I hate the cold. No, sir.
The Army did that to you?
Yeah, no. That's Chicago. I mean, everybody's like, you're from Chicago, so you should be good with the cold. I said, no, I had a triple fat goose to go outside, and I went outside to go where I was going, and that was it.
I love it. Movies or books?
Movies. Books, they have words in them that you have to read. You have to pay attention and concentrate. I've read my first book, which is, if you on Instagram, that's what I'm doing it. The Letting Go is the book that I'm basing off my first little series on. So I am reading now, but I would prefer a movie all day long. Dog person or cat person? That's a rough question. Dogs all the way. Cats are, yes, dog person.
Hey, and he does have his service dog here. I left Bristol at home today. So shout out to your service dog. What's your service dog's name?
His name's Orso. Orso's Italian for bear. And,
love it.
I love this dude. He's my everything.
I want you to know I can relate, man. My service dog, my best friend, and my story is he saved my life. And I don't know where I'd be without him. And I love that he's about an 80-pound black lab. So yeah. That's my partner right there. Beach vacation, mountain retreat.
Prior was a beach vacation, but I've gotten this ultra marathon world, and if you give me a mountain and a trail somewhere, I'd be happy as I can be.
Love it. Wake up early, stay up late.
Man, I wake up at 3 o'clock every morning, by no alarm clock, no nothing, and so staying up late is a chore. I can do it, but every morning 3 o'clock I'm up.
Why 3 o'clock?
That's what time I wake up. It comes from previous, but like I like to work out in the morning, and to not take away from my family, I would wake up early in the morning so that I could get my workout in before the family woke up.
Yeah.
And it's just stuck with me ever since. No alarm clock, no nothing. 3 o'clock, I'm up.
Love it, man. Man of dedication and discipline. Discipline's the key. Action movies or comedies?
Can we get an action comedy? Can we get like Kevin Hart doing some crazy stuff action wise? Yeah.
We could do that. Camping or road trip?
I'm gonna go on a road trip camping. So we're gonna go somewhere and we're gonna camp on the road trip.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna put it all together.
Texting or calling?
If I'm trying to get something across to somebody, emotions are completely lost in the text.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, I could send you one thing and you could think I'm I'm saying bad stuff about you, but really I'm telling you I love you.
Yep.
And it's all lost in emotion. So if it's something I gotta say, I'm gonna call you so you can get the words and feel my emotion.
Yeah, I agree. Something I learned as a business owner. Text can be taken wrong immediately.
Absolutely.
So if I feel that I'm misconstruing a text message from you, or I feel there's some type of tension in it, straight to phone, because there's some things that need to be talked, because I never want to ruin a relationship over a misunderstanding.
No.
And I think it happens a lot out there, and that's something I'm trying to prevent as well.
Absolutely. You got to foster relationships.
Correct.
When you burn them bridges, you can't build them back, or it's a long time to build them back.
I tell young people that I mentor, if you decide to burn a bridge, burn it.
Yeah.
And just know you can never go back from that.
That's right.
And if you do go back, it's going to take a lot of, like you just said.
It's going to take a lot of repair.
All right, Phil, let's get it started, man.
All right, let's go.
Born and raised in Chicago. I want to hear this. You're somebody that really intrigues me, so I want to hear. Let's hear it. Let's hear your story growing up.
So
real quickly.
I was born in Winfield, Illinois, right outside of Chicago in DuPage. I had a mother and a father. I had a regular life growing up until about the age of 5. Parents split. I was told my father didn't want nothing to do with me, and as a 5-year-old, with my mom, living with my mom, I was like, hey, okay, he doesn't want nothing to do with me. So stayed with my mom. We bounced around a bunch, Chicago, some of the suburbs. Ended up in Woodridge, Bolingbrook, Romeoville, Chicago some, and just kind of bounced around. Mom had a couple different guys in our lives, so I had different mentors, different male figure role models. But it was difficult because I didn't have a positive, good male role model growing up, say. The first stepdad I had, he was a good guy, but it just wasn't, what I would think a good dad should be at that time. Since then, we've reconciled, and he's a good guy. He's a great dad to his new family.
Yep.
He learned with me, right? We all learn in life. We don't fail, we learn. So, I was just happened to be part of his journey, and I'm happy to be that because now he's a great guy. So,
now growing up, who are some of your role models with your dad being out your life?
So that was a good question. I tended to follow some of the older kids, which is obviously not the best thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Led me down some stray paths that I probably shouldn't have been going down. I was always big into sports, so I like Michael Jordan was a role model to me, being from Chicago. Scottie Pippen, all those guys, I just looked up to them. Obviously, I had nothing in common, nothing to do with them, but I was like, hey, those guys are doing it big. I want to do it big too.
Yep.
So those guys, and then I had I had uncles on my dad's side. His Ruth was his sister, right? And then Ed was an uncle that was my uncle, and I saw him very little during their earlier ages, but he was a Olympian, a luger. He rode, he did like triathlons and stuff, I remember. So he had this real nice bike in the house all the time. So he was the one that kind of got me into fitness, and at a young age. I didn't know anything about it at the time, but I just looked up to anybody that I earned for a male role model. So I just kind of latched on to people as they were around, and I took what I needed from them. And if they didn't serve me, I just moved on to the next one.
Now, with that desire and that yearning to latch onto a male figure, did you ever find yourself latching on to negative role models?
Absolutely. There was a time in the younger teenage years where like the older kids, the 18, 19-year-olds and gangbangers and stuff, I started hanging around with them, doing bad stuff, kind of led me down some stray paths, but I never got fully involved in all that stuff, but I was around it and did all the dumb stuff with them. So I seen it all. But yeah, there was definitely negative role models in there that I latched onto, and just they didn't serve me.
And were you still in Chicago at this time?
So once I was done with the earlier ages. So when I went to elementary school, I was in Woodridge, which is right outside of Chicago, and then Bolingbrook for a little bit, and then I went to Romeoville. So they were all about 30 minutes outside of Chicago for that part.
Okay. Reason I asked because we're about the same age. I did my homework on you, and those early '90s were very rough.
Oh yeah.
People our generation and people older than us, they can remember how crazy this country was with gang violence, the crack pandemic. And if you lived in a city life, it was rough out there. So I was just asking to see how that played out.
And then in Chicago, they knocked down Cabrini Green, one of the biggest projects that we had there, and they moved everybody from Cabrini Greens. Just happened to move them out to Bolingbrook. So they just moved the problem from the city to the suburbs. So they put them in Section 8 housing in Bolingbrook, and then they made their own little Cabrini Green down there, right? So it just transferred to where they were at. And I remember we lived in an apartment complex in Woodridge. I remember one night I went out there and it was just gangs. Like there was hundreds of dudes just walking down the streets, and I was just like, what is going on? Where am I at? But that was just the life I grew up in.
I saw that you played water polo. Is that correct?
Man, so I swam in my earlier ages, right? From like 7 to 12. I didn't understand what plateauing meant, right? I was zooming. I was like the stock market back in the day, just going to the roof. And then I hit a plateau. And my times weren't getting better, and I didn't have anybody, like my mom's was around, but she didn't know anything about sports and how to get that going, so she didn't tell me, like, hey, this is just a plateau, you just got to keep working through it, and then it'll break out, and you'll keep going. So I threw it all away. I came to a point where it was time to start high school, and I was about 200 pounds. I was always a big kid. I grew up, and I remember in like the 6th grade, I was this size. They thought I was going to be like the next Shaq or something. I went from playing a 5 till I got to high school, and then all of a sudden, you got to be a shooting guard. And I was like, but I can't dribble. So I didn't know about that. But then I went to high school, and I was like, hey, think girls going to like me in pads or in a Speedo? And my school didn't have a swim team, so I would have had to swim independently. So I wouldn't have been able to, I'd have been on my own. And my mom, she wouldn't let me play football growing up because I was always big, and I would have to play against the grown men. And she was like, no. So I played flag football or whatever. But then when it came time for high school, I was like, I'm playing football. I'm grown. I'm playing football. So I started playing football freshman year and hung swimming up until my junior year, or end of my junior year, when they moved me out of that school. And she got another guy, and she moved to Palatine, Illinois. Mm-hmm. And I did my senior year at Palatine High School, and I remember sitting in like a chemistry class, and the swim team dude was sitting there talking crap, and I was like, I can swim. I can beat your time. Dude, I ain't swam in 4 years. I was out of shape, nothing. I went and I played. So that year I played football, and then I swam, which was wild, and I did really, really well. Ended up, coming in 3rd in state, like out of nowhere. And then it was time for track, and so I say track loosely. I was the fat kid on track. I did a shot put and discus. Mm-hmm. And the water polo, the kids from the swim team were like, hey, come play water polo. And I was like, I don't know anything about water polo. But they were like, you play football, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, it's like football in the water. And I was like, So I came out and tried it, and water polo's gangster. Yeah. It looks cool and nice above the water.
Nah, I know it's a lot of work.
Below the water, dudes are punching each other, kicking, scratching, all sorts of crazy stuff's going on underneath there. So water polo ain't no joke.
Yeah. How hard was that transition from leaving that school, going out to the school that had the water polo? Was it a different demographic?
Man, so for instance, on my basketball team at Romeoville, I was one of 3 white kids. Mm-hmm. When I went to Romeoville, there might have been 10 black kids in the whole school. So it was a big, big culture shock. Yeah, I talked funny. It was very much a different financial class for the people there. Like the kids' parents bought the drugs for them. Like it was wild. Like, hey, I'm gonna go ask my dad for $50 so we can do this. And I'm like, he's gonna pay? He was like, yeah, no problem. But yeah, it was a big, big change. I was a spectacle though, because I talked funny. I said words like "woody" and stuff like that, and I wore Fat Farm, and they were like, "Oh my!" I had these fake readers, so I looked cool, and so I was. Everybody loved. They didn't know what to do with me. Mm-hmm. It seems to be my whole life. Nobody knew what to do with me. Like when I became a warrant officer, you don't know what to do with a warrant officer.
Yeah, but I could tell. I've only known you. We've been in each other's company for the last 30 minutes, but I could tell that you're genuinely who you are.
I've always been that
like
way.
Phil is Phil. We're not sugarcoat no shit. Phil is Phil, And I appreciate that about you because I'm the same way. This is what you get, man. I mean, I am who I am. I'm like Popeye, right? I am who I am.
And it's been wild because even like my whole life and my whole military career, I've said whatever I wanted to say, even as like an E2. Like I've said whatever I wanted to say, and somebody else could say the same thing and get slammed, but they're like, oh, that's just Phil. That's just Phil, being Phil. I'm like, hey, keep it rolling.
Yeah. So at what point did you decide, or did it cross your mind that you want to join the military?
Never. Never. I didn't have any ambitions to join the military. My father, come to find out just recently, he was in the military for about a week. During the Vietnam time frame, he went to basic and had a hernia, and they said they couldn't do the surgery, so they gave him an option to either go get the surgery and come back and go to Vietnam, or they'd let him get out. And so he was just like, I'm just going to get out. And I was like, I'm not mad at him for that.
Yeah,
and now that I've been
not.
to war all those times, I'm like, hey, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandfather was in the Air Force, but I didn't know what I wanted to do.
What caused you to join the military then? With you not wanting to join, it's not even being a thing in your mind. For example, me, I knew I had to leave Connecticut. I had to leave. I just wasn't happy where I was at, and I knew I was never going to get anywhere. I'll probably end up in a factory, and there's nothing wrong with that. I want everybody to know. I think it's good, hard, commendable work if you work in a factory.
Yeah.
I believe in that. But I'm just saying...
You want it better.
I just want it better for myself. I want to change. I wanted to fight against all those stereotypes that people placed on me.
Yep.
So what happened in your life at that young age that made the military come up?
So I wasn't going anywhere. I had like a 2.7 GPA, and the only reason I had that is because I took like 2 home ec classes my senior year because the football coach his wife was the teacher for those, and it was just, I was just skating by. School is a social event for me. It wasn't exactly an educational event, and I didn't have anybody at home to be like, hey, you need to do your homework. So I didn't know anything about it, but it was football season, and I was walking with my jersey on, and a recruiter just happened to be sitting in the hallway. And he's, hey, come talk to me, son. And I was like, okay. So I went and talked to him, and he was like, what's your position? I said, I play linebacker. He goes, I got the job for you. And I was like, tell me more. He came over to the house with that old school computer. It's 2001 now, or probably 2000, with this old computer, and shows me this video of a 14 Romeo, which is a linebacker Bradley linebacker crew member. And in the video, the little vignette they showed, they showed the Bradley jumping through white sand, shooting missiles, shooting the 25 Mike, super cool. But then
super sexy video.
Oh yeah, but then they inlaid Junior Seau sacking a quarterback, and I was like, what? And hook, line, and sinker. And I didn't know anything about the military. I didn't know that when you take your ASVAB, you need to get a good score. I didn't know. They were like, hey, it's just a test you got to take. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went and took it. Probably got the lowest test score in the military. But that's how it happened. He literally came to my house and showed me a Junior Seau sacking a quarterback and a Bradley jumping through the sands. And I was like, that's it. I'm in.
Yeah. How did your mom feel when you told her I'm joining the military?
Me and my mom really didn't at that point. Probably from about, I don't know, 8th grade, I kind of just checked out. She gave me a house to stay in all the time, but I didn't stay there too often. I bounced around friends' houses and, jumped around coaches' houses and stuff. And so when she was sad, obviously, because she still, she was my mom, but I just wanted to get out of Chicago or that area altogether. I wanted to start a new life, get a fresh start. So I was ready to go. 30 days after I graduated, I was on the first thing smoking to Fort Sill.
The military provides a lot of us that opportunity to get away. But I want to touch on a subject. At what point did you, because you and I talked offline, at what point did you realize the truth while your dad wasn't in your life?
I realized the truth, and I still don't know the whole truth, right? Because
I don't think you'll ever will, man.
No, I don't. And that's not my job right now because As a child, I wasn't going to play detective and figure it out. As a 42-year-old man, I'm sure not going to figure it out right now. But I was on this healing journey just recently, and they told me, what do you see wrong in yourself? And I rattled off some things, and they said, do you see maybe that comes from your father? And I was like, I ain't got a dad. And they're like, you have a dad. And I was like, I ain't talked to him in 36 years. He don't want nothing to do with me. And forever, I was just like, F that dude. He didn't want nothing to do with me. I'm fine. I'm a grown man. I made it. I don't need him.
Mm-hmm.
But one random Wednesday, I was in this Divine Kings group with Jeremy Alexander Newsom, and we were talking about healing and all this other stuff, and he was like, just call your dad. And I was like, all right. Gave it a couple weeks, and then one day I was with my partner, and I was like, hey, I'm finna call my dad. And she was like, what are you gonna say? And I was like, I just called him. And me being me, I didn't question him about anything. I just said, hey, Pops, it's me. And that dude had been waiting on me for 36 years. He had been, he told me he used to drive down the street from where we lived at and watch me and my sister play. And it just broke my heart because I'm going through the same thing now. Yeah. And history just repeats itself. The generational trauma just keeps going. Yeah. And I'm here to stop it. But he's a great guy. He's in Joliet, Illinois right now. I'm going to see him on Easter for the first time.
Perfect.
Which is wild. He's going to bring me to see, his wife called me or texted me and was like, hey, your dad will never ask you this. And I was like, what's up? And she was like, we're going to Easter at one of your cousin's house. And I was like, okay. And she was like, he wants you to come as a surprise for the whole family. And I was like for the whole family? I ain't seen it. She was like, yeah, for everybody. And I was like, you know what? I can do that. That's easy. I can take some time, drive up there, and go to make he's waited 36 years. That's the least I can do.
Yep. I want you to be ready for that day because you're going to feel love that you probably have never felt in your life. And I say this from experience. When you see your dad, you're going to cry. When you see your whole family, you're going to cry even more.
Yep.
But embrace it, man. You a God-fearing man?
Yep. Yes, sir.
This is God showing you that sometimes that we go through certain things for a reason, but when he gives us that opportunity, embrace it, man, because I'm happy for you, for real. Genuinely happy for you that you and your dad are reconciling, that you're going to see him and you're finally going to feel that love from your dad that he's been wanting to give you for your whole life, but he didn't have the opportunity.
And it's wild because I talked to him and he told me some things, and one thing he promised me, he said, hey, I'll be 100% honest with you. You ask me a question, I'm gonna tell you the truth, but I'm not gonna sit here and badmouth your mom. I'm not gonna sit here. And I said, hey, I appreciate that. I said, hey, whatever. So he told me all these things. And then I had a wild hair one day because I just do crazy stuff sometimes. And I said, I'm going to text my mom. I haven't talked to her in forever. Mm-hmm. I'm going to text her and ask her, hey, what happened with you and Dad? She sang the same song she sang when I was 5 years old. The same exact thing. So I know, what the truth is, I don't care. Yeah. Right? I really don't care because in the same situation now, I can imagine 30 years from now, the same thing would be said in my shoes, right? Yep. So I just got to take it for a grain of salt and embrace him and just try to, reconcile and move forward because what else? We got time. That's all I got.
And embrace that time, man. All that stuff in the past, as you know, man, it's done with. Done. And just, man, love on your dad.
Yep.
You about to change that man's life, for real. And I just get emotional. I get so happy, full of joy. Being a father, knowing that he's about to see his son, you're about to see how much this man loves you, man. So you joined the Army.
Yep.
Where'd you do basic at?
Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Me too, man.
Yeah, man. Fort Sill was special.
I did Echo Battery, man. First of the 19th?
Man, I can't remember. My brain's so scattered. I know I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma. Drill Sergeant Little. I remember at Jaron Little. That was my first positive male role model, and I just latched onto it because I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I was fat when I showed up. I couldn't run a 2 mile in under 20 minutes, and I said, I'm going to be the best at this. I'm going to be the best. And I started off in D group or whatever else that is. And I worked and I ended up finishing in A group. I ended up running a 12 something. I ran a 300 on my PT test. I was distinguished honor grad. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. I didn't have a dad to go hunting and all that other stuff growing up. So I didn't know anything about being a country boy or how to do any of this stuff in the field. It was all brand new to me.
Yeah, I know you got that dog in you though, so
I don't quit.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I don't quit. I just keep going.
Shit, you grew up in Chicago, man. You can't quit, man. Them streets will eat you up, man.
You just got to lean forward.
So you leave basic, you being a city boy, that being your first experience, was there any culture shock there? Or was it just like what you just said, I love this, I'm going to embrace it, and I'm just, from here on out, this military thing, I'm going to be the best I can be?
There was a big culture shock because From where I came from, I tended to lean towards certain types of people, and I spoke funny, and so I got a lot of crap saying I'm ghetto and I'm all this stuff, and that's just the way I spoke. Like I didn't try to do it. I didn't put it on. Like that's just the environment I came from. So that's the way I spoke. But yeah, it was a big culture shock because I never had anybody tell me what to do. I loved it because it gave me structure. It gave me, a place a warm spot to sleep. It gave me food. It gave me all those things. It gave me male role models, even though they were giving me the business. It was always positive, right? And I say positive, and you said somebody yelling at you, spitting in your face, being positive, but it was positive for me. I loved it. It was almost like a video game. That's the way I looked at it. Like I'm playing a game, and I'm about to be the best I can be.
Yeah. It's crazy that our lives are very similar because my first male positive role models were senior NCOs in the Army.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember these guys like yesterday, and I truly love these men for making me the man I am today.
Absolutely.
And I tell a lot of the young men that I mentor, right? And that's something I want to pull you into as well. A lot of these young men, they just need a male to show them that, you know what, I believe in you.
Yeah.
No matter what anybody says, I believe in you and I know you could be great.
That's all they need.
That's something, I saw that in you just now with that story, right? Basic. That's all you needed. You get the basic, you see these men that they genuinely care about you, and bam, it's take off from there.
Yeah, it's life-changing.
Yeah. So you leave basic, distinguished honor grad. You go to AIT. Where'd you do AIT at?
Fort Bliss, El Paso, Texas. Another culture shock.
That's hot.
Yeah. The border was open back then. Let me tell you about it. That's for another podcast. After hours.
So how hard was basic? Not basic, but AIT. Was it, educationally challenging, any academically challenging, anything to that nature?
It wasn't too bad. Like you learn how to drive a Bradley, which was cool, right? You're driving a big old, it's like a 33-ton vehicle, like, and jumping over, it goes like 40 miles an hour. So that was cool. And then learning how to shoot the gun. And, how to take apart the gun. I remember Sears, safe, handle, cable, handle, link your feature straight to shaft, remove the fucking feeder. That's how you take apart the gun. Right? So, I still remember that song.
Riddles work. I'm telling you, this is how they indoctrinate our children with these commercials.
Yeah.
These things really work.
Yeah. So it was pretty awesome. I got in some trouble. I remember I was told when I was, before, how do you make sergeant major? Back then you had to have 3 field grade Article 15s. So I was on it. That was on my checklist. I need to start getting these things done. So I got a field grade while I was in AIT. Long story short, I had a buddy. You make your AIT buddy. He's your best friend. And he was fighting for his kid, actually. And he had to go back to New York to fight for his kid in court. And he didn't have money for a plane ticket. So I gave him the money for the plane ticket. Well, a couple pay periods went by. It was like $400. He never paid me back. And I was still a little rough around the edges at that point in my life. And it came time, and he's like, I don't have it. And I was like, you do have it. You just got paid. So I escorted him down to the ATM machine and helped him get the money out. And he went back to the drill sergeants and said I took him down there, whooped his ass, made him give me the money. They pulled the tape from the ATM machine, and there's no voice. And you just see me helping this man get the money out the ATM machine. And it was my word versus his word. They ended up believing me, but just because of the situation and there was no real proof otherwise, they ended up slamming me with a field grade. So I showed up and, basic training, I got promoted to E3 because I did so good. I left there and I showed up to Fort Hood with a fuzzy chest or slick collars, not a fuzzy chest yet. Yeah, so that was part of basic or AIT, but it was also just an amazing experience, away from home. I still had I was doing well, and life was good. Yeah.
What lesson did you learn from that whole experience with the field grade?
Well, that you don't need 3 field grades to make sergeant major. That's a misnomer, the old school. But just to, I'm not in control of what other people's actions are, and I can't force other people to do what they're going to do, right? I just have to be patient. And if it happens, it happens. I've learned from that, hey, if I give somebody money, I'm giving you that money. If I give you $1,000 right now, you say you're going to pay me back, I'm giving you that $1,000. If you pay me back, bless it. If not, hey, man, that's what it is.
Yeah. And I'm happy you said that because I have the same mentality. if I give you this money, I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
I don't expect it back because I don't want to ruin my relationship, especially with a family member or a close friend over money, right? Yep. This is something we could go make more of. And I always tell them that up front so they know.
Yeah.
And I'm happy you learned that lesson because that's something even I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
When you let people use money or...
Money is evil.
Money will pull the evil out of people, man. It's I tell everyone, and I know you heard this saying before, you want to see a person's true character.
Oh, yeah.
Get money involved. Money or women.
Yep.
Those two things right there, story. You will see the ugly side of humanity like you've probably seen in your life. So you leave AIT.
Yep.
Besides the field grade, you obviously did get it.
I was distinguished honor grade again.
For real?
Oh, yeah. Not playing.
That's crazy, man. That's good. Where do you go next for your first duty station?
The great place, Fort Hood.
Fort Hood.
Yes, sir. Fort Hood. And so back to AIT, though, I was in the day room after a run, and that's when the towers went down. So I joined, and I thought I was going to get those cool pictures they show of the barracks and, you know, all the cool stuff, go to school maybe, I don't know. And then the towers went down, and my whole life changed.
I think all of our lives changed. What exactly were you doing when those towers went down?
We just got back from PT.
Mm-hmm.
It was the time between, you know, shower and shave and before we first whatever we were doing for the day. And we were all in the day room, and I remember sitting there, and we were all of a sudden it broke across the news, and I was like, is this real? Because AI wasn't a thing back there, so I mean it was real.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at one of the drill sergeants, because obviously none of us kids knew what was going on. We were like, yeah, war. But one of the drill sergeants was like crying. And I was like, oh, God, this is real. And he looked at all of us and he goes, guys, y'all are about to go to war. And I was like, okay. And he goes, and war is not pretty. This is not good. He was a Desert Storm vet. That stuck with me. I was like, that's a grown man that's been to war, and he's over here crying because it's about to happen again.
How did that make you feel internally? Like, there's that misnomer that you join the Army to go to college and get all these sexy benefits and these paychecks. And I think a lot of us young people don't realize that there's only one reason we're in the Army. That's go to war.
That's right.
That is it.
Yep.
And that's something I tell all the young people I mentor as well. First question I ask, are you prepared to die for this country?
Yep.
If you are not, you really have to think about joining the military, because whatever the recruiter's telling you, right, you're gonna be in harm's way someday.
Absolutely. Some point somewhere you're gonna be there.
Correct. How did that make you feel? How old were you first off, and how did that make you feel when that reality hit you that I am going to war now?
I was 19. And to tell you the truth, I was so lost in life at that point. It didn't really sink in. I was just like, okay, this is what I signed up to do. Let's go. The whole, until the first time I was there, the whole thing just didn't, it didn't really click until I was in it. So
when did you get deployed from Fort Hood?
Yes, sir. I went out of Fort Hood from 144 ADA. Showed up, went to NTC for like forever, came back, went to the field for like 9 months, and then 2003 we put our Bradleys on a boat, and we were supposed to go through Turkey and then down through Kurdistan and crush on Baghdad from both north and the south. Turkey closed the ports.
Correct.
So we caught the back end of it. We ended up going up through Kuwait. And I remember we got to Kuwait. I was short range air defense. There was no short range air defense need at that point. So I don't know this. I'm a E3 at the time. I don't know this to be true, but the rumor was they were going to send us home because they didn't have any need. Air Force did their job. They kicked butt. There was nothing flying. And so they ended up, everybody wants a star. So whoever was in charge of us at that time, he found us a job. And we ended up escorting some soft-skin Humvees up to just shy of Baghdad. And we ended up going to Taji. And Taji at the time was a concertina wire around like 4 or 5 little buildings. The airfield had it was a mess. It's not like it is or was when we were all occupied there. And that drive up from Kuwait, crossing the border, when you crossed the border, it was beautiful. It was all green and lush. People were nice. They come out of nowhere. I don't know, like we'd halt and stop on the side of the road, and these dudes would come out of anywhere. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is wild. But they were all kind, nice. They all wanted Saddam gone. Like, they all wanted the same thing. Third ID kind of boned us because Third ID was like Michael Johnson. They just sprinted all the way to Baghdad, didn't clear anything from my experience. So we were getting pop shots and stuff the whole way up. Nothing terrible, but obviously it was my first time in the Army getting shot at. So I was like, this is real. We ended up pushing up, dropping those guys off in Baghdad and went up to Taji. And the first night there, we had paladins, right? Big old artillery pieces at the front gate, providing not with a 50 cal, just a big old gun pointed at people. They can't do anything with it. But the first night there, we had all circled up, made a little alpha, and we were about to bed down. And the colonel that was in charge of Taji at the time, great man, Lieutenant Colonel West, somebody in a white pickup truck drove by one of the ACPs and shot at it. So he came running over to us and was like, "Hey, I need you guys," because we got deemed the QRF at that point. "Hey, you guys go out there and you guys shoot the first white pickup truck you see." We're full of piss and vinegar. I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." I'm an E3. I'm not in charge of anything. But me and two other Bradleys, we mount up and we go out the front gate. How many white pickup trucks are in Iraq?
Shit.
Yes.
All of them.
So it's nighttime now, and we go out and we see a white pickup truck about 20 minutes into a drive, and gunner truck in the open, AP, and driver up, and I lit that thing up 3 ways to Sunday. First time I ever did that, obviously. We went and did the SSE to check it out, and I destroyed a whole family. It was not the right pickup truck. There was a family, a mother and a father, a man and a woman, and then 2 little people in the back, and just a burning mess. And that stuck. That stuck real bad. I was shook. We got back to Taji and dropped the ramp, and I remember laying on the back of the ramp just looking up at the stars and being like, what did I just do? What am I doing? And I had to come at a young age, at 19, right? I've been dealing with life the whole time, but at that time I was like, hey, this is my purpose. This is what I'm meant to do. And there's going to be collateral at war. Like, that's just the way it is. Like, obviously that was wrong. I know that's unjust, but I did what I was told to do, and that was my mission. And I started then to I kind of just shut everything off and just became numb and just became that stereotypical soldier. Like, that was my job. And just shut it all down and just became, all emotions went away. And that's what I did.
How long did it take you to realize that was not normal?
It's not normal. It's probably took me, when I started my healing journey, probably about 3 years ago.
Okay.
That is not normal. And I've had a foster son, and he grew up right here in Nashville, gangbanging and all that stuff. And I've been able to see a lot more now, like, hey, that life that you're used to, that's not normal, right? That is not, that's not okay. You shouldn't have to be doing that. Just like I shouldn't have had been doing that as a 19-year-old kid. But that's what I signed up to do. Like, when I volunteered to join the Army, I volunteered to follow orders and do whatever was put in front of me. And that's what I did.
So you leave, how long were you at Fort Hood for?
So I was at Fort Hood from 2001 to about 2003. I ended up leaving that deployment about a month early, because before that deployment, I did the private thing, and I found me a nice little young lady. She was an E5. I was doing big things. We decided we wanted to get married after 30 days so we could get out of the barracks. And we lived together for 30 days, and I deployed. But got lucky. She ended up coming down on orders for Germany. So I came back at the 11-month mark, came back to clear Fort Hood. I had 60 days to clear. We ended up going to Germany. And when I showed up to Germany to 1-4 ADA, the rear D Sergeant Major, the rear D NCO was like, hey, Phil, or Specialist Calcese, you can either sign this deck statement and stay back here with me for the next, they had only been gone for like a week. You can sign this deck statement and hang out in Germany with me for the next 11, 12 months, or you can sign it and say you don't care, because she was going anyway. So we were buddies. And I was like, yeah, I'll go. I don't care. So I literally had 11 months, 60 days, and then I went back for another 11 months.
Damn.
Yeah. Which was wild.
Yeah, that's that right there alone is a leadership problem, right? Because especially what are you, an E4, E3?
E4.
E4 at this time. You're just living by that E4 shield and doing what you're told. And
Yep.
how did you feel knowing that you just left Iraq 60 days ago? You moved to a whole nother country, and now you're back in Iraq. And you're 20 years old now?
Yeah, roughly. I loved the Army because it gave me everything that I was missing, right? Stability, it just gave me everything. So I would have did anything. Like, I was all in. I was that soldier that, I was the best soldier you could have ever had from 6:30 in the morning when PT started till 5 o'clock when that bell rang. After that, I was a mess. But from that period, I was Soldier of the Year, all the accolades. I was the best you could be. So going back was I felt like that was my calling. That's what I was meant to do.
What was your biggest, we're going to backtrack, what was your biggest takeaway from Fort Hood in your first combat deployment?
So from going to Fort Hood the first time and going on that deployment, it was that, one, technology is key, right? And there was no technology.
Yeah, we didn't have shit back then.
It was like living
man.
in a vacuum.
Correct.
Like, I went there and everybody was wearing white tees and ones, and then I came back and everybody was wearing like jerseys. The music changed. Like, it was just, you lived in a vacuum. I remember, like, with my ex-wife, she would, like, you got the satellite phone. We'd get it once a month. Didn't know what time it was going to be, and you just hoped that they were at home and waiting for you to call, right? They didn't know when it was either. So I remember one time I called, she was in the club and stuff. I was just like, But just to know that, like, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. I was stepping into my purpose. So I didn't feel like I was missing anything. I didn't feel, I was never, it just felt right. It felt like I was stepping in my purpose and doing what I needed to do.
So how long were you in Germany for?
So I was in Germany. I got there about 2003. Did that deployment to Iraq, and then I left there in 2006 to go to flight school. But I ended up reclassing because they, on the second deployment, they deactivated the SHORAD. Essentially, they got rid of the Bradleys, with the Stinger pods, and they gave us the choice to be a Cav Scout, a cook, or a fueler. And at that time, when I was back home at Fort Hood, I was in the field for 9 months and doing gunneries and all that other stuff. And I was like, I'm tired of this stuff. I mean, it's cool, but like, I'm trying to maybe make a family with this lady. Maybe it works out. Maybe it don't. We're just buddies. But I owe it to her maybe to stick around. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to be a Cav Scout. I'm not going to be a cook, and I'm not going to be a fueler. Luckily, Sergeant King, who was my platoon sergeant, he had just came off the recruiting trail, and he had that magic book, right? And I told you already I don't like to read. So, and I told you already my GT scores was garbage.
Yeah.
But he was like, hey, if any of these GT scores match your what you got on here, you can go. And I was like, oh, for real? So I started skimming through the book. I'm not reading. And I'm looking down, and one of them, my line scores match up. I'm like, all right, cool. And I'll go down, and it says, you can be a door gunner on a Blackhawk. And I was like, for real? It was an aviation operations specialist. I was a 15 Papa. So I did that deployment.
They got you.
Yeah, they got me good. I did that deployment. That's where I got my Purple Heart at. Was on a patrol, double stack IEDs, flipped the Bradley over, was stuck upside down for 8 hours.
Damn.
Yeah, it was a mess. But 88 came, flipped us back over, and at that time, I realize I wanted to get back in the fight. So I got a shot of Toradol in my butt and had 8 hours of quarters, and I didn't really follow up or anything. My back was so messed up. Didn't follow up or anything, just got back in the fight because I didn't want to miss out, right? So I never, at that point, my Purple Heart was retroactive to when I got out because I didn't do anything with it. I got all the paperwork and everything and just kept on moving. But that was another event in my life that was pretty wild. To be stuck and not know upside down. Now I'm like SEER school. When I went to SEER school for being a pilot, they put you in the box. Didn't work for me, man. I had to call timeout, whatever that magic word was. I was like, no. They did the administrative timeout, brought me in the corner with the psych, and I was like, ma'am, I was upside down in the Bradley for 8 hours, stuck. Like, this box does not work for me. They gave me an alternate event that I had to go do, because that was before, SEER school was before flight school at that point. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't pass SEER school, you wasn't going to flight school.
Correct.
So I knew the importance of that. But
I was a SEER instructor for 2.5 years.
I know, I heard that in
Yeah,
some of your
so-
previous podcasts. You means, yeah, you got the backhand. All right, I got you.
That hand candy, you know?
Mhm, yeah.
Let's talk about that incident in with you being upside down in the Bradley.
Yeah.
I just want to try to, for me, understand what was going on. So double stack IED.
Yep.
You guys hit it, flips over the Bradley.
Mhm.
Now, are you just stuck inside? Because I'm pretty familiar with Bradleys, but are you pinned? What's going on?
So I was in the turret, searching and scanning, looking for things. Though, for Bradley, if it's not at the 12 o'clock position, you ain't getting out the back, right? Well, when it rolled over, my TC was able to get out the top before it rolled all the way over. My driver got out of his hatch, but I was canted off. So there was no, when it rolled over on its top, I was stuck. There was no way to get out until it got rolled back over.
And just so people know, and I'm trying to, regain my memory.
Yeah.
The reason it's like that, if it's not at the 12 o'clock position, the doors aren't aligned, correct?
Yeah, so there's like two cylinders, right, inside of each other, right? The turret sits inside of the hull, and then when there's a door that lines up the back, but when that thing turns, that door shuts. There ain't no way to get out anymore unless you're going out the top.
So did they ever tell you why it took 8 hours to get people out there to help you?
Just because of where it was at, and the 88 to get the 88 goes 15 miles an hour, and just the time to get everybody there and make sure it was all rigged up right and all the other stuff, it just took time.
So you're just sitting in here chilling.
I didn't know what was going on. I heard people yelling and stuff. I didn't know if the thing was burning up. I was just there for the ride.
Damn. What was your biggest takeaway from that deployment?
Life is not guaranteed. Enjoy every second of it, because I have danced with the devil many, many times, and I just enjoy every day I wake up and I can breathe, and the sun's out. You can't steal my sunshine. You can't do it. That thing could go down, but I guarantee it's going to come back up. But the life is not guaranteed.
At this time, when you get back from your second deployment, hell, you're 21 right now.
Yep, about that.
E4.
Mm-hmm.
You notice anything different about you from a mental health standpoint?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 2 deployments, did a lot of bad things to bad people. Good things, bad things, good people. Yeah, did a lot of stuff down there. And I was drinking a lot. I was doing a lot of extracurricular activities with ladies.
Mm-hmm.
I was just burying it all. And like, I knew in Germany, I could tell you where to go Tuesday through Sunday, every single night. There was a club to go to, and I was there. I'd get off work, start drinking, go to the club, wouldn't get back till 3 o'clock in the morning, show up to PT formation, crush it, take a nap after PT, show right up to work at 9 o'clock, crush work, and then rinse and repeat all over again. Monday night was the only night that there was places we could go, but we decided that was our health day.
Yeah. Health day. That, I tried that one time when I was in Fort Lewis, that lifestyle, going out every day.
Mm-hmm.
That shit burnt me up, man. I
did it for a long time.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking, how the hell did you keep up with that?
That was my outlet. That was my way to not be present, right? To just get outside of myself, to get that liquid courage in me and go just have fun and just be free, because if not, them demons would have creeped up on me, and
yeah,
that's how I erased everything.
It's crazy too, because during that time we really didn't have the mental health services that we have now.
No.
It was pretty much taboo for us to even talk about those things.
No, I remember going to, you have to do your post-deployment health surveys or whatever, and you got to go talk to the psych. I was a champ. at talking to them. I tell them exactly what they wanted to hear. Because back then, if you rose your hand and said, hey, that bothers me, you got kicked out, or you got put on a bench, or it wasn't received well.
Correct.
It has changed a lot these days. It is actually people that advocate for it. It's not looked as bad anymore. Like, obviously, there's still the old guys. There's that still persona that sticks with it. But, like, my old Colonel Reggie Harper, he was the 160th 1st Battalion commander, and he was a mental health advocate. Like, he said, if you guys need help, take a knee, stand up, and say with your chest. Because
that's good to hear, bro.
Yeah, it is. But guys still won't do it.
Yeah, it's hard to silence that dog in us, man.
It is, because I didn't do it at all. I thought I was fine. I thought I was good, because
we're talking about, you realized you had this issue when you were 21, right?
Yeah.
And shit, how long were you in the Army at this time?
5 years, maybe.
5 years. You did 22 years. All right, so we're talking about 17 more years. You're just dealing with this shit.
Yeah, because that's what I did, and all the way up until I became a pilot. I mean, I was a mess. I was the best. I was Soldier of the Year. I was this. I was that. Top gunner, commander's gunner, all the things. But like when it came time to check out after work, I was a different person.
How did you feel inside and just inside as a person carrying that representative all day? Because there's that saying that, you know, when you're not living to your true self, that shit'll eat you up after time. Like, how did you do that for so long?
I didn't know who I was. I spent my whole life being a chameleon because either I was in an environment where it was all the black kids, so I had to fit in there, or when I went to the all white school, I had to fit in there. I never knew who I was. I still don't. I'm still learning now. Like probably the last 3 years is when I finally been able to step and see like this is what I want to do, and I still don't know what I want to do with myself. Like this is a journey, and I'm growing, and I'm learning every single day.
That's okay, man.
Yeah.
I'm 45. I'm be 45 in 3 weeks. And shit, I still don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up.
But and this is just a mentorship and just brothers pouring into brothers. You are who you are. Mm-hmm. You just embrace that. God has made you special in his own eye. And you do have something special about you, man. You got good character. You got a good energy about you.
Thank you.
Very good energy. And just embrace it, man. Continue to be that chameleon, right? Because you could pretty much be in any environment that you're placed in, and a lot of people can't do that. Yeah. People literally shut down when they get around certain demographics, right? Yep. They don't know how to respond just because of the fear of the unknown, but you pretty much could go, just me talking to you and just your demeanor and your presence, you could pretty much go anywhere you want, and you can make friends.
I do.
And that's a gift. That is a big-time gift. So you're in Germany. Yep. They're going to make you this 14 Papa? Is that what?
15 Papa.
15 Papa, yep. Right? 15 Papa. Did you have to go to school or anything?
Yeah, that was wild. So when we got back from that deployment, they put us in Task Force Falcon, right? The unit was gone. We fell under an MI battalion. There was 26 of us that were either waiting on orders, they were getting chaptered out, or ETSing. And this was when I got my second field grade. We were the R&D guys for the post. We were in Wackenheim, Germany, and we painted sidewalks. We cleaned like the dumb stuff, right? So I was like, you know what, dude? I was an E5 at the time and an E6, and I was like, hey man, check this out. This is what we're gonna do. You grab 13 dudes, I'm gonna grab 13 dudes. We're gonna do day on, day off. And he was like, bet, all right. And I said the only agreement is if they need us on the day, we gotta be around, right? And they were like, all right, cool. So it worked for a while. We were having a good time. But I went to the Euro Palace, awesome place. $1 Red Bull and vodkas on Thursday nights. Friday morning they called me in, and I was supposed to be off. 9 o'clock in the morning, I walked to the first sergeant's office, and he's like, you been drinking this morning? And I was like, no sir. And he was like, brought me down to the MP station, made me blow.
Damn.
Yeah, I got a drunk on duty, and I wasn't even supposed to be on duty. But that was my second field grade. Again, went from, so it looked crazy. I went from E5 to E4. But went to school, went to AIT, came back.
Where'd you do AIT at?
Fort Rucker.
Fort Rucker?
Yep. And the craziest thing, like I showed back up as a 15P with my orders back to Wackenheim. It's not an airfield. It's TDY in return.
Damn, that's weird.
And I went to the sergeant major, and I was like, hey, man, what am I supposed to do? And he goes, you got to go apply for jobs. What? He was like, yeah, you got to go to the Wiesbaden was about 20 minutes away. He's like, go to the airfield and go to the aviation units and say you want to work for them. Nowhere in my life or in the Army, like I'm still new to the Army, so I'm like, is this real? Like, is this a thing?
That sounds like that, hey, go get this exhaust sample or some crazy bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, I was like, okay. So I built my little Love Me book, and I went and talked to the MI unit down there. They didn't have any open spots. They said they'd put me on, they'd call me if something opened up. I was like, this isn't like a job interview. Like I need a job. Like I need work. Like I can't just go hang out until you're ready for me. I went to the VIP unit, and I was a mess at that time outside of work. At work, I was great. And the first sergeant used to be 11 Bravo. And he was like, son, you've been rode hard and put up wet, because I just did those back-to-back deployments. And he was like, you know what? I need you can be my training NCO, and you only got to show up on Mondays and make sure my slides are good. And that's it. And I was like, okay, all right. And I went back and I thought about it. And for some reason, in that young age, I was mature enough to realize, like, that ain't what I need to do. That is not what I need to do. Just one day a week in Germany?
Yeah.
No. So then I went to the Med, 159th Med, which was a blessing that's changed my life. I went to the Med, and they were like, hey, we're deploying in a month. And
So another deployment.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, let's go. I ended up being the medevac or the TOC NCO. I worked, me and this other girl worked a day and a night shift, and I learned a lot about aviation. I learned that all aviators aren't the same.
Correct.
There's some good ones, and then there's some not so good ones. I learned how to run a TOC. I learned how to use a computer. I learned how to use radios. I learned how to fill helicopters, like radios and helicopters. I just learned a whole lot of useful things.
So you're getting some now good skills, transferable skills that could start helping you progress along the way in your career now.
Yep. And then I met Dana Perdue. Dana Perdue is my brother. He's a black man from Montgomery, Alabama. Great human being. He took me under his wing. And he, during the middle of that deployment, he was like, I'm applying for flight school. And I was like, me too. And he's like, you can't apply for flight school. You got, your GT score ain't high enough. You got field grades. You got all these things. And I was like, I'm going to do it. So.
What year was this? This
was 2005-06 was the deployment.
And where'd you go for that deployment?
Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, okay.
I was in Bagram. That was before the GSABs were around. So it was a 15-ship medevac company. We were in Bagram. We had ships all out on RC East and then RC South, and we controlled all of them from Bagram. And as we continued on, that was a good deployment. Again, I've lost lots of buddies, but this one stuck with me pretty good. The hospital over there was named Heath Craig Hospital, and I was actually on duty the night they went up to. They were doing a medevac mission up in Ray, and I never seen anything like this or been a part of anything like this, but obviously it was before there was drones or anything like that flying big time, so we didn't see anything. But over the radios, and Merc was the thing back then, the little computer chat system.
Yep.
We were, they were doing their medevac, zero loom, blah blah blah, worst case scenario, and he went down on his first. They were doing a hoist. Went down on the first one. Came up, no issues, brought the first survivor up, and then went back down. And this was before Army's great at this. You remember the Black Hawk used to not have a Teflon strip on the door, right on the door ledge down there.
Correct.
We had the Teflon strips in the connexes, not mandatory, not required yet. Well, hoist started oscillating, and the crew chief was a big dude. He was working his tail off back there. I know he was. He couldn't keep that the hoist cable from rubbing on the bottom of the aircraft.
Damn.
So he was coming up with his second patient, and as he was coming up, he the hoist started oscillating. He couldn't control it, and then all of a sudden sorry about that, that's my dog. The next thing we know, he's falling, and we were like, everything went silent.
Who's falling?
The medic. The medic was coming up with his second patient, and it snapped. The hoist snapped because the Teflon strip wasn't there, and it rubbed and it snapped. Not saying if the Teflon strip was there, it would have been any different, but who knows? And it was silence. Didn't know what was going on. Craig was a great dude, man. He was a star football. He was our flag football quarterback, the Silver Fox. Dude was awesome, and. Yeah, just silence over the radios. And I got on Merc, started merking to the ground force. I was like, hey, what's going on? And first thing we got back was he's breathing. And I was like, okay, bet, he's good. And then about 10 minutes later, we got the word that he didn't make it.
Yeah.
And that was terrible. I had lost friends in, the first and the second deployment. But I felt like in the aviation world, we genuinely cared more for each other.
It's crazy, man, the bonds that we make in aviation, and just, I did a lot of medevac pilot, and it's just, he was a medic, right?
Yeah.
When you see, I don't know if you watch any other shows, but flight medics are my heroes.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I tell people, like little kids look up to Superman and Batman, flight medics. These people, I've seen their acts of service, you know, dropping them off and just that bond in aviation, man. It's hard to explain.
You count on them dudes back there.
Yeah.
You really count on them guys as part of the crew. I was a med. I did a lot of med too before I went to the dark side. And a medic, you got good medics and you got bad medics, but like the medics that want to get in there and learn the helicopter and do all those, like those guys are irreplaceable, man.
Yeah.
Dana, my brother, he's a medic, right? Mm-hmm. He's a flight medic, and like, I was with him when he lost his first patient, right? And that's rough, man, because they worked their tail off.
Yeah.
They worked their butt off to try to keep these guys alive to get them to the next stage of care. And when you can't do it, man, you feel helpless. You were the last line to save this guy.
Yep.
And you couldn't do it.
And not only that, just the resilience with these flight medics.
Over and over, every day going out and doing it.
I gave a rap about, we're the guys in the front.
Don't look back.
That's rule number one.
Don't
right?
look back.
I tell everybody, you want to be scarred for life, look back.
Yep, don't do it.
Every time I did look back, that image is burned in my brain.
Yeah.
And I sit here and I think about these young flight medics, because they are young adults.
Yep.
And the amount of things that they're seeing.
Man,
and
demons.
And they show up to work every day.
Every day with a smile on their face to try to save the next guy.
It's crazy, man. It is crazy. So, go ahead, finish that story. What was the gentleman's name again?
Heath Craig.
Heath Craig?
Yep.
So how did you guys get him out of there?
They ended up the next day when the light came, ground force secured him. Ground force got him all good. Then the next day we got him, brought him back to Bagram and did the whole ramp ceremony and everything for him and sent him back to the States.
You said earlier that one hit different. How did it hit different?
It hit different because like I knew Heath, like I knew his family, I knew his like the whole situation. Like the guys before, I was still young, I didn't know. I was out running the streets and drinking and all that stuff. When I got to the med, right, I didn't really have time to get into that because 30 days later I was deployed. So when I got there with those guys, like they were my brothers and sisters, right? I really got to know them. We got to hang out. I seen them every day. And to, see him one day, give him his goggles and his radio, and then the next time you're collecting his goggles and his radio is because they're going in a safe because they're under investigation because he's not coming back, right? It's just, he's gone. And there's nothing you can do about that. That's just the way life was at that time.
Yeah.
And to realize that, it was tough.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. At what point did you realize you want to, I know you talked about Sergeant Purdue, right?
Yeah.
Did that intensify your desire to become an aviator, or?
I just wanted to do it because they said I couldn't.
Oh, same reason I did it too.
Yeah, because they said I couldn't. I was like, okay, bet, I'll do it. Here I go.
How long did it take you with that whole process?
So at that time, I put in my packet to the 160th as a 15 Papa. I'm glad I didn't get picked up for that.
Your life would have been different.
Oh yeah. I put in a Delta packet because I wanted to go do that walk. And then I put in my flight packet all at the same time. And by the grace of God, flight packet came first. It was the first time I was a non-select, fully qualified non-select. And I was like, man, I don't need this stuff. It's all right. And then I was in there one day in ops, and my the XO, Jason Davis, great man. He came in and said, Phil, you didn't make it again. And I was like, come on, man. I don't care. And he goes, look at it. And I popped it up on the computer. And I was selected, and I was like, holy cow, I'm going to flight school. The kid that was told he couldn't do it, never could do anything, never going to amount to nothing. I was going to flight school now.
What rank were you when this happened?
E5.
E5.
About to be B6.
And when you found out, were you still in Afghanistan, or were you back in Germany?
I was in Afghanistan.
In Afghanistan. How long was that deployment?
A year.
A year?
Yeah.
Besides the passing of... his name again?
Heath Craig.
Heath Craig. Apologize for that.
No, you're good.
Besides that passing, was there any other memorable moment? Because that's a significant event right there. But was there anything else that stood out about that?
I was Soldier of the Year at Bagram.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of slid in there and did that. In my free time, I benched 405 3 times. I was eating all the protein you could imagine.
You eat good when you're deployed.
Oh, you do. Yes, sir.
People don't realize how important two things that build morale in a combat zone.
Good food.
Good food is number one, and then getting your mail.
That's right.
That's in our era. I don't know what it is now because mail is like,
Nobody sends.
I don't think anybody does mail, but I remember in basic and in Iraq.
Oh yeah, that mail call.
Man, that was the highlight of the day.
Yep.
So you get back from, what happens when you get selected for flight school? Do they send you back immediately?
No.
If you just talk me through, you get back to Germany, then what happens?
Yeah, so I got selected, finished off the rest of that deployment, and got back to Germany and had I'd say about 2 months before I was going down to Rucker, and I got left alone for those 2 months. The aircraft weren't back yet for how that works. And so I just hung out, had a great time for the last 2 months I was there. Closed up all the loops I needed to close, and then got divorced from my first wife while I was there. It was weird because in Germany we decided mutually, like, hey, she went on the deployment. She had a 15-month deployment on that first one. I got back 12 months, and then we were just like, this ain't gonna work. Mm-hmm. The problem is in Germany, 2 service members can't get a divorce unless one of them goes back to the States. And I wasn't going back to the States for anything. I had no family to go see at that time. So I was just like, I'm not going back to the States. So we just stayed married until she ended up going back. And it was real convenient because I knew it was coming. But then when I got the papers while I was deployed, man, I played a song over there at the PSB when I went there and talked to them girls. But like, yeah, my wife just divorced me. So yeah, it was, we get that. But then I got back and just packed up, got ready for flight school.
So 3 deployments.
Yep.
How old?
It's 2006. I was born in 83, so I'm 23, 24.
23, 24, E5. Just selected for flight school. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling at that moment, if you remember?
I was ecstatic. I thought I made it. I mean, I thought I'm going to go be a pilot. I thought I was on top of the world. I had no clue flight school was going to punch me in the face like that, though.
Punches all of us in the face.
Yes, sir.
Because you actually got to learn shit, man.
You got to pay attention. You got to read things.
You got to read, pay attention, actually study.
Stuff.
I mean, shit. Caught me off guard as well. What was your biggest takeaway from that deployment and that entire Germany situation?
I wish that I would have not been dealing with the demons I was dealing with and drinking and going partying all the time, because Germany's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I would have rather went and seen a castle every other weekend than what I was doing, or went and enjoyed the culture, or, any of that kind of stuff. So I missed, I was in Germany, but I missed that whole, the actual experience of Germany. I can tell you where all the clubs are. I can tell you where to go, but there's so much more out there in the world to see, to do, to experience, and I crapped it all away.
How important is that to you now as you're 42 years old, 20 years later? How important is it for you to not take things for granted?
Oh, it's huge, because your life can get taken away from you in a second. Anything can get taken away from you in a second. So I every single day, I'm just grateful that I'm here. I'm grateful that I wake up. I'm grateful that I'm able to shake and move. I'm grateful that I'm still active. I'm grateful that I love, and I'm leading with peace and love and not anger anymore. I'm just happy to be here.
That's great, man. I'm happy for you as well. So you get to Fort Rucker.
Mother Rucker.
Oh, Mother Rucker. What happens next?
Me and Dana. So Dana he was a class ahead of me. We ended up moving in together.
And that's Sergeant Purdue, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. We're living together, and it's when I got adopted by my chosen family, because his family is in Montgomery. He's got a mom named Delois Jones. And Anitra Mays is her sister, and then Gladys, his granny, and James Jones, his past grandfather. And we went up there the first weekend, and they loved me. I was a mess still then too. I was still going on the weekends drinking. I was in a motorcycle gang. I was doing all sorts of weird stuff. But again, when it came to school, I was putting in the work. I would put in the work, and then as soon as I was done, I was one of those guys that had to set a regiment. When you get done with school, you got to study for 3 hours. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So every day I'd come home and I would study my tail off for 3-4 hours, reading whatever book I picked up. I read it and tried to memorize it. And I knew that because of the way that I grew up, and I didn't have anybody, forcing me to go to school, I missed out on a lot of that stuff, like simple algebra and geometry and stuff that people take for granted. I didn't know how to do it. So when they were talking about cosine and tangents to do an approach, I was like, excuse me? You want me to do what? So I had no idea. But just to just go and just and experience it, because it's gonna happen, right? You're gonna get there. You're gonna go through the process. You're gonna get through it as long as you try. And that's maybe the Army's changing now, maybe it's not, but like if you show up and you put forth effort and you try and you want to be there, somebody's gonna help you along and get you through. Like, you know, they joke about a 70% pilot and a 100% pilot. You know, you still got wings. You're still a pilot, right? It shows later on down the road.
Sure does.
But you just get through flight school. I ended up being distinguished undergrad again. And it was a great experience, both in flight school and then meeting my new chosen family. It was a blessing. The whole thing. I was there for 2 years, had a blast, did all, you know, I was in a motorcycle group, all throttle. I had a Busa and a ZX14, and I just, you know, and this is where it was weird, right? This is when I got the first experience that aviation is predominantly white, right? I had a 03 Cadillac DeVille on 22s with like 40 inches of screens in it and two JLs in the trunk, and I stuck out like a sore thumb. I had a gold grill. I came back from that second deployment, went to Houston, went to TV Johnny's, and spent $25,000 on a gold grill and a piece of chain. I was living my best life.
Damn, let's backtrack real quick. Damn, love it, man. First off, was warrant officer school? What was that? Simple for you? Easy?
Just playing the game.
Just playing the game, man.
Yeah,
Check that block.
It's all a game.
That's it.
Just show up and do the right thing and smile and wave, and you'll get through.
I think I realized that with all Hermes schools.
Yep, show up, smile and wave, and put some effort in, and you'll get through.
The only, and now I'm biased, right? But Sears School is one that'll really test your mettle, and
oh yeah, yeah.
I appreciate that school every day because it'll teach you a life lesson about who you are.
It will, and even in Sears School, I thrived because I thrive in chaos. Like in chaos is where I rise, which is crazy because most people shut down but like when bullets are flying, like I'm running to the sound of bullets. Like when the dudes were getting beat down, I was just sitting there looking at them. And for some reason, do I have a smack me face?
Yeah,
that's what I got told that every time. You gotta smack me face. I'm like, yeah. So
yeah, just imagine how I got treated when they found out I was gonna be an instructor.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine.
I got the business, man. Yeah. But I'm like you, man. I respond well to stress. I was and a lot of my crew chiefs and PIs, you know, the young ones. Mm-hmm. Very calm under pressure, man. Yeah. I just cool, calm, collective, and that's good that you had that in you. So warrant officer school, cakewalk, some struggles with flight school with studying.
Yeah, it was tough. I just had to put more work in than the other guy. Like one of my stick buddies was a crew chief, right? So we're learning about aeromedical factors. He knows all of them already. Yeah. He knows all the fuck, frack, crash, fire, CSAR. Like he knows all these things, and I'm just like, and trying to memorize these things. And he's like, oh, it's just the vertical or the illusion is this, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I have no clue. So I just memorized it, rote memorization, and was able to spit it out.
It's the first way you learn, man.
The dash, like the limits test, right? I just memorized the blocks and what numbers went in the blocks. I didn't know what the numbers were. I just put the numbers where they're supposed to go.
Yeah. It's crazy how we look back on it, right? Mm-hmm. How rote memorization is so important to correlation. Yep. Then you really start learning from there.
Yes, sir.
When you have those two things together, it's crazy. Because even me, we all go through it in flight school. Fuck, I don't know what this is. And this is the best advice I could give anybody studying anything hard. Acronyms.
Yeah.
Break that shit up into acronyms. You'll learn so much, and you just keep it flowing. And like you just said, that rote turns into practical, and it just keeps gaining that experience on top of that.
Yes, sir.
So that's something we all battled with. Did you always know you wanted to be a Black Hawk pilot?
No.
How did that happen?
So I got first pick, right? And in my class, I thought I wanted to be a Chinook pilot. I don't know why. I really didn't.
Yeah, you don't strike me as a Chinook pilot at all.
I don't carry a coffee cup, none of that stuff.
None of that stuff.
But my stick buddy, he was an old Ranger, and he was like, if I don't get guns, I'm this is horrible. And I'm like, okay. So we had 2 Apaches, 2 Kiowas, the rest were Blackhawks, no Chinooks. And I knew there was a couple other Ranger dudes that were like, I want guns, and I didn't want to do that, right? And I started asking questions, and Blackhawks could go really anywhere, right? They're stationed everywhere. So I was like, I'll do that. So I picked a Black Hawk, and then orders came out, and this is how unexperienced I was. It said APOAEHN, and whatever the numbers were for the zip down or for the area code down there. And I said, hey, what's HN? What's APOAE? I know that's for like when I'm deployed. So what's going on? And they're like, it's Honduras. And I was like, where's Honduras? I didn't know. They're like, it's in Central America. And I was like, I know where Central America is. That's between South and North America. We have bases down there? And they're like, yeah, it's one of the best kept secrets in the Army. And I was like, all right, here we go. So finished up flight school, did well, enjoyed it, got my family out of it. Me and Dana were thick as thieves, and went down to Honduras.
How important was that relationship with Dana and his family pulling you in?
It saved me.
Because I really want to talk about this, and I don't even want to get into controversial things, but the significance of this event. You're in deep Alabama. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yep.
And we have an African-American family taking on a Caucasian man and loving him like nobody's business.
Yep.
And that is something I've seen time and time again in the South. Because even with me, my experiences, my ex-wife at the time, well, my wife at the time, I met her at flight school. Her family took me in, and her dad, mentored me and looked up to him. And I just see how kind people are down there. And a lot of things, seems like a lot of things, it may matter, but they put those things to the side and they really take time to really know people.
They did. They didn't judge me for my color. And then I'm a chameleon too, so I just fit in with them. And I remember going to like vote with them at one of like the city council things for their local authorities. And we went to like a high school or something, and I stuck out like a light bulb. And one of they all know, everybody knows each other, right? Everybody knows everybody. And my mama, she worked at the VA. She was a nurse in the military for 20 years, and then she worked at the VA for a long time. And she had a picture of me and Dana on her desk, and she was like, those are my babies. And people would be like, huh? And the crazy part is, I just found this out probably, I don't know, not too long ago, but she was with a white dude way back in the day. So it all kind of made a line. But it was just she was a single mom too, right? So she just loved me unconditionally. Like, and I hadn't really felt that in a long time.
Yeah.
Right? So it felt good. Like, it gave me another place, a safe place to go. I could shoot up there on the weekends and just hang out, get good food, get loved on.
Yeah, you're gonna eat good.
Oh God, yes. His granddad, James Jones, is a hero. He worked his tail off, and Gladys, his wife, Granny, she is I can't say any words for her. She like, I remember hearing like they never argued, they never fought, they never like they were just he had one pair of pants back in the day, and he would work all day long. And she would get them pants and wash them, crease them up, put them over the fireplace so they would dry for the morning every single day. And they were together all the way to the end. Granny's still kicking. She's 86 now, and she's still out in the yard. She's still shaking and moving.
Nice, man.
And they all stick together, right? So, like, they all live within a block of each other. So they're always at each other's house, checking on each other, taking care of each other. That nuclear family that's missing in the world these days, right?
Yeah.
They're all just there, and they love each other. And the great part about it is there was no judgment, right? Like, if I didn't want to do something, like, if I did, like, okay, whatever. And it was love, pure, genuine love.
It is, man. Simple living.
It is. You just got to show up and be present.
That's it, man.
That's it. Show up how you are.
Man, you hitting it, man. So you get down to Hondo. Did you continue that streak of partying, Phil? And
I did for a little bit. It was wild. Honduras is a special place.
How long were you in Hondo?
So it's supposed to be a 1-year tour. I did it for 2. I showed up brand new. Was in the med, and first I showed up and I was in the assault battalion, right? But some of the brothers were in the med, and we called it the pig pen up there because there was like 14 dudes that show up at one time, and like you're fighting for flight time. Mm-hmm. Only experienced guys went to the med. But I started bouncing around, started going down to the med shack, hanging out, and there was no young PIs down there, right? It's nobody to do all the work. So, and I was cool. So they got me, and I ended up going over to the med and thrived. I ended up being a UT for hoist. I'm APC at like 150 hours. And a disadvantage plus an advantage. Like down there's no weather reporting. There's no real rules. There's no, you just kind of do what you want to do.
Yeah, I heard about that. Like
ATC speaks Spanish. So like, like it's wild, wild west. But I got to learn how to fly a helicopter, unadulterated. I had great lead, like Darren Scudder. He was an MTP out there. He was a W3, and he would take me out, and he'd be like, "Fly it." I'm like, "What do you mean fly it?" He goes, "Just see what it'll do." And I learned how to do all sorts of fun stuff with a helicopter, which was huge advantage because guys in the States or guys going on these deployments, they get 1,000 hours, but they were literally flying. They would do a VMC takeoff, climb up to 1,000 feet, fly for 2 hours, do a VMC approach, and they were done. Right? They were getting those ash and trash time. They're still flying.
Correct.
But they're not doing anything. Right? I was flying the aircraft and doing like med rets, going out in Costa Rica and setting up in the middle of a field, and there's no weather, there's no nothing, trying to be my own, being the best pilot I could. And I didn't know anything. I was, under 500 hours, you're considered super dangerous, right? I was in charge of an aircraft at like 200 hours, like,
You are dangerous, man.
Yeah, it was wild.
One thing about the med, you do learn how to fly the med.
Yes.
Because the shit's on the fly.
Yep.
Like, you're getting... And I want people to understand what we're talking about here. You get information, and within 7 minutes, you have to be off the ground.
Yep.
All right. And this is governed by division. You have to be off the ground 7 minutes. If you're not, your ass is explaining that to somebody. You're picking somebody up, right? And you're dropping them off at the nearest medical facility.
Yep.
And you have a lot of shit going on in a short amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not out there just, taking our time. It's a lot of go, go, go. And I agree with you. That's when I really became a good aviator, just flying medevac over and over and over again, and those POIs and things like that.
Yep.
What was your most memorable moment at Honduras?
When I was getting one of them was, I remember I was getting promoted to W2, and me and Darren were out in the TTA, the tactical training area. And I knew he was getting promoted, right? But Darren Scudder.
Okay, Scudder, the MTP, yep.
Yeah, and we were out tooling around the TTA, just messing off, and the whole gosh darn Sotokano was out on the flight line to promote me, and I'm just out tooling around. I'm not in a hurry to get back. They call over the radios. They're like, "Hey, Witch Doctor 2-1, like, hey, what are y'all doing?" And we're flying. The whole battalion is down here on the flight line in formation waiting on you to get promoted. Woo. So we showed up, got promoted. Another experience, like I remember one time we flew down and did a med ret down in Costa Rica, medical readiness. And I remember we landed in the middle of nowhere. I spoke a little bit of Spanish at the time because you had to speak Spanish to do ATC work. Mm-hmm. And we landed in this field, and we got stuck there for like 4 days because this fog came in, and I was trying to call back on a sat phone. I was trying to use the high freak to get patch phone calls through. Couldn't get a hold of anybody, so we're kind of just out there, and we just were trying to get weather to give us some sort of brief. And so basically we sat out there for a week. Everything was fine. So I got to help out with the med ret, help the people. These people walked for miles just to get some medical attention down there. Mm-hmm. Got to do all that stuff and work with them. And then coming back was squirrely. Like the weather was horrible. Like it wasn't legal, but we were going to get home. And I remember scud running through this valley with a river beneath it, like 10 feet above the water. No air, no bottles, no nothing, no raft, just over this big old river in the middle of the jungle, just doing what I do. Just being free.
How was your pucker factor?
I was too dumb
to realize
what I was doing. Now I look back at it and I'm like, oh my God.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
Then I was like, I'm a hero. Look at me, go.
At what point did you realize you wanted to do a 160th?
So in Honduras, my first person I met down there that was a big, huge part of my life was my father-in-law. His name's Chris Cronin. He was a master chief in the Navy. He's a CB by trade. Great dude. He builds, now he works for Clark Construction. He's a VP. He builds, right now he's going to build like a modular nuclear plant or something like that. Like this dude's a genius. No schooling, nothing. CB built stuff his whole career. He wrote some of the doctrine for the CBs and the SEALs together. Like awesome human being. Great mentor to me still. Just the way he carried himself as a man, as a father, to his daughter, my ex-wife, and he was just a huge part of my life. And then his daughter showed up down there, and we ended up courting each other, and we ended up getting when we both she got out of the military, and I stayed in, obviously, and I've got after the 2 years, the colonel down there, Lieutenant Colonel Sal Herrera, he was a 160th dude taking a knee for taking his break, his tour down there. You know, they leave and then come back, and he said, "Phil, you need to try out for the 160th," and I was like, "Okay."
I've actually heard of him from another person as well.
Awesome human being. Awesome human being. He was like, "You need to try out for the 160th." And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Okay." So I put my packet in, and I got selected to go. And about a week beforehand, though, I got a call from Sean Woodman, who's the recruiting officer, the recruiting guy up there. And he was like, or the assessments guy. And he was like, "Hey, Phil, I got bad news." And I was like, "What?" He goes, "We're only assessing tracked 1,000-hour guys." And I had 200 hours and I was untracked. And I was like, "Oh man, that's stuck." So I went to Colonel Herrera. I said, "Man, your people didn't want me. They don't need me. I don't need them. I'm good."
Yeah.
So
what year was this?
This was 2010.
2010.
Yep.
How old are you now? 28?
You can make me do some math. Yeah, 27, 28.
27, 28, CW2.
Yep.
About 200 hours.
Yep.
And you trying to go hang with the big boys.
Trying to go to the big boys.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to go, but Colonel Herrera let me stay for that extra year. Built some more time. Had about 400 hours when I left there. And
why'd you want to stay in Hondo?
I loved it. I loved the flying. There was no all the rules that I hear about from my buddies that were in the States, like they didn't apply.
Yeah.
Like, you got to fly.
Yeah, flying in the States is boring.
And you didn't have any of the extra. It was like a deployment, right? But you got to go out and be free and do stuff and hang out. So like there was none of the distractions of life out there, right? You got to work, then you got to play. You got to work, you got to play. You don't have to worry about I don't know, mortgage, rent, bills, light bills, none of that stuff.
Shit, that sounds good.
Yeah, so it was great. But then when it was time to go, it was time to go. And he, Colonel Herrera, hooked me up with IPC en route. So here I am going to IPC now.
400
hours. I don't know anything about stateside flying. Nothing.
Damn.
Don't know anything about combat. So I go to IPC, knock it out of the park, check the block. It's easy. Rote memorize all the things, right? The FOI, all the fundamentals of instructions. I spit it out like I'm supposed to. And I show back up to Fort Hood. Fort Hood, here we go again.
Did you always know you were going to Fort Hood?
Yeah. I was TD1 en route to Fort Hood.
Okay. Now, is that where you wanted to go?
No.
Or is it just like, I'm going to go wherever the Army tells me?
They said, I wanted IPC. And when he said I could have IPC, they said, you got to go needs the Army. And I was like, okay, whatever.
And what year was this around?
2011.
Okay, 2011, all right.
2010, 2011, end of 2011, 10, 11, that time frame. But I showed up to Fort Hood. 30 days later, guess what? I'm going back to Afghanistan. So I did a LAO, got up as an IP, and then went to Afghanistan. And I was in Bravo Company 3227, the Jokers, Captain Randall L. Glasgow, and James Hickey were my commanders down there. They were awesome dudes.
Where'd you go in Afghanistan this time?
So I personally took me, John Nix, another awesome guy in my life. We took 6 helicopters and we went to Sharana. The rest of 3227 went to Shindad. We were direct support for Campbell Infantry Unit, Rakasans.
Oh, and we know the Rakasans.
And their colonel, I can't remember his name at the time, but he wanted to go see his guys every single day. And so every single day, I had my little AMR sheet with everywhere we're going, and I would fly that dude to every single FOB in RC East, and he would go talk to his people. And again, I was an IP. I had no clue what I was doing. By the grace of God, the guy we were ripping out with, he ended up extending an extra 30 days to help me out because I'd never done a dust landing. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what a pinnacle. I didn't know what a pinnacle was, like a car deck. I didn't know what pinnacle was. I didn't know any of these things.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a ROS was. I didn't zero knowledge, but I'm an instructor pilot, right?
Yeah.
So I had to learn all this stuff on the fly. Luckily,
you have to teach other people this
yes,
shit, especially them dust landings, man. They will
to
eat
controlled crashes.
They will eat your asses up.
Level the wings and pray. Yeah, it was special.
Shit, man. It's even to this day, man. I'm just like, you start sweating just thinking about that shit. Just
Yeah.
it's like you said, level the wings and pray.
Yeah, but I was still feel right. I was still feel.
Where do you think you got that desire to excel at everything you do?
Man, I just want to be the best at whatever I do. Like I want to be the best. And I don't know, maybe because the way I grew up and like even in like football, right? I remember I used to pray because I was 5'11", 220 pounds. I would pray, just make me 6 foot. Just make me 6 foot because, it's all about the metrics, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember schools would come down and look on me on tape and be like, oh, he's good. And then I'd be there and they talk to me and be like, how tall are you? I'm like, 6 foot. And they're like, no, you're not. And I just wouldn't even get a look, right? And I tried so hard. But when I got in the military, it doesn't matter if I was 5 foot, 6 foot, 7 foot. Like, if you put in the work, you will excel. You get paid for it, right? If you do the work and you show up every day, you get rewarded. And I realized that, from an early age, like, I'd show up with my boots shined and my uniform pressed and I got a day off. Like, or if I got a 300 on a PT test, I got an AAM. I was like, what is all this about? Like, I do good and I get rewarded.
Yeah.
So I
think the Army's good at that.
Yeah.
They teach us the correlation between doing good and doing bad.
Yes.
You do good, they will reward you.
You do bad, they'll bam you.
If you do bad, they will scuff you up from head to toe.
Yeah.
And I think that's good learning that as a young man.
Yep.
Especially you growing up in your circumstances. You really didn't have that in your life.
Nope.
And then you get there.
Smacked in the face with it.
You get praised when you do good. You get shitted on when you do bad.
Yep.
And I think every young adult needs that in life.
Yes, absolutely.
Especially today's generation.
Absolutely.
They need their butts, a little smack on the butt a little bit. But
absolutely.
I think the Army's good for that. So you're in Afghanistan.
Yep.
Inexperienced IP.
Not knowing what I'm doing.
Dust landings.
All of them.
NVG dust landings.
Oh, yeah. Special. I ain't got too many of them left in me. Thank God I'm out now.
And you could agree with me that Afghanistan is dark.
So dark. And that was, I was flying out Alpha Lima back then. Now you got these white phosphorus goggles. I was flying the old green goggles.
Yeah, I've never experienced the white phosphorus.
Ooh-wee.
I've never seen those.
Special. You can see in the dark. It's crazy.
That's crazy. What was your most memorable experience or memorable moment about that deployment?
One of them was when I got my IP and my PC orders pulled.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it was wild. We were on a QRF mission. Like did our normal day, 8 hours flying ash and trash, moving around the battlefield. And I remember we got back and we were about to shut down, and I hear over the radio, troops in contact or whatever. And I'm like, huh. So I stay on the APU, and I'm sitting there hanging out, and I'm listening to this whole thing develop, and troops in contact, Eagle down, all these things going on. I'm like, huh. And then they're requesting for to move. They don't want a casevac. They wanted somebody to come get the body because they were still fighting, and they wanted somebody to come get that body and move them. So I get on the phone or on the radio with the talk, and I'm like, hey, I got full of gas, and I'm going. I just need an extension. And so they started mulling it, and they were like, yeah, you're good. This is where I knew big Army aviation wasn't for me anymore, right? They gave me one spot to go. They somehow pulled some imagery for it. And as you know, in battle, they keep moving. They keep fighting. So I take off. I got approval to go to that spot. I take off. I go, and I land at this fob I call Super Fob, which was right about 5 minutes from where they were at. And I'm talking to them on the radio. They're saying they're moving because they're in contact. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll come to you guys. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm still at 500 hours now. And I call back to the talk, and I'm like, hey, they moved. I'm going to this location. Gave them the grid, and I came up to a hover so I could talk to the ground force. And I'm like, hey, I'm 5 minutes out, waiting on approval. Went back down, talking to the talk on SATCOM, and they told me no. And I did the old. And I was like, I'm going to get this guy. Like, these guys have asked for it. They need it. And I lifted off. I went into where they were. landed, picked the guy up, no issues, flew him back to the cache, dropped him off at the cache. When I landed back at the pad, I had the battalion commander, the battalion SP, my commander, and like 4 other people that thought they were important standing there giving me the business. Tore me down. You're a hot dog. You went out and you just did whatever you wanted. I said, no, I saved this dude's life. Like, I didn't save his life, but I saved these guys from having to drag their buddy around while they're fighting.
Yeah.
It didn't last but like a day. They needed an IP to fly during the day because me and John were split between days and nights. We did 15 days nights, day off, 15 days, vice versa. So they needed me. So I didn't, but they pulled my PC and my IP orders for about 24 hours because I went and I did what I did what I thought was best.
What year was this?
11-12 was that deployment.
Yeah, only because that's when shit got real.
Yeah.
Like I don't even understand the thought process with command on some shit, man.
Yeah, they need my help. I'm going to do it. That's my job.
And I think that's where the biggest disconnect with warrant officers and RLOs, we started having that disconnect in a big army.
Yeah.
Like our purpose here is to serve the ground guys.
Yeah.
Period.
That's it.
I mean, that is our only reason for being here. And when you start restricting us, I get some situations.
Yeah.
We got to mitigate risk for certain situations. But shit, if we're available and we're able, where's the problem at?
Yeah. Would I do it again today? Absolutely.
Oh, of course. And I think we started getting that. I think that's when that leadership started showing up. Like, oh, we'll teach him a lesson.
Yep.
And in reality, what are you really gonna do?
You're hurting yourself.
I mean, you are an essential asset to the team. What are you really gonna do?
Yeah.
Right. And I think they made him look bad.
Oh yeah. I agree 100%.
What was your biggest takeaway from that deployment?
The biggest takeaway from that deployment was it's real. Like, the flying is real. I was tooling around in Honduras and doing all that fun stuff, but like, there's people out there shooting at you. There's dealing with high gross weight, high DA, landing at, points that like dropping dudes off at 10,000 feet on a mountain with no power, like learning power management. It just opened up my aperture to the whole other side, the combat side of aviation that I had no idea was. So my learning curve went from 0 to 1,000 real quick.
And you had to teach people too.
And I had to teach people why I was doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the best flying in the world's in Afghanistan.
It is. And it's so beautiful there. Like, if you take away all the bad stuff, like, that country is beautiful.
Beautiful. I tell people this story. I seen purple mountains in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
In northern Afghanistan. I'll never forget it.
For real.
Got up there and I was like, man, it was very beautiful, like you said. Like, earth that's rarely been touched, Yeah. And it's crazy. What happens when you get back?
So when I got back from that deployment, I'm married, and actually back up a little bit. So my ex-wife, I was happy where I was at, right?
What do you mean where you were at in life, career?
In life, my career, because I was an IP. I created when I was back home. I created my own schedule. Like, I did all that, but she pushed me, which I can never be more grateful for. She pushed me. She said, "You're great. You need to go to the 160th." And I was like, nah. I had at that point, I came back from that deployment about 800 hours. So I was about 1,300 hours. I mean, IP now. I knew what I was doing. But I came back, or during that deployment on the R&R, I went and assessed for the 160th. And successfully assessed and got picked up. And I had to turn it down because they were sending me to Lewis. And in the board, I was like, yeah, I'll go wherever you want me to. I'll fly rubber dog shit to Hong Kong. I don't care. And but then when I came home, it was like, Fort Lewis. It was like, no. And I was like, who? So I had to email the guy back and be like, hey, I'd like to respectfully, decline. And they gave me the option to reassess with with like a modified assessment within a year. Or actually, it was just ORB update, and it was really a PT test. And I could come back within a year. Or I could come back with a modified assessment in a 3-year window. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll put that on the burner. So I came back and
what kept you from going to Lewis?
Family just didn't want to do. Nothing was up there. I didn't have a nucleus, right? But her whole thing was up in Virginia. So we just didn't go for family reasons. And then I came back and went to the only advanced school. I went to the Met team, came to Fort Hood, and I went and did WOAC, the Warrant Officer Advanced Course. And while I was in the Warrant Officer Advanced Course, the SMU was there. And the SMU was in Virginia. So I was
SMU.
like, yeah, the Special Missions Unit.
Yep, tracking.
Orange, whatever name they want to go by these days. And I was like, well, that's in Virginia. Maybe I can go up there. And so I assessed for those guys, did the walk, and got told, don't come back, because I did the security investigation. And Randy Glasgow, who's my commander of Fort Hood, his dad was up there for ages, right? And we flew up to Dallas and one day on a training flight and had dinner with him. And he was, I was like, hey, so what can you tell me? And he was like, I can't tell you anything. And I was like, cool. All right, good story. He said, but the only thing I tell you is tell the truth, the whole truth. And I was like the whole truth? And he goes, yeah, just they'll find out. Okay. So I went up there, did all the things. But during the security investigation, I find out normally it only takes like 10 minutes because most dudes go in there and they're like, yep, I ain't done nothing in my life. I'm a good straight and narrow, just like on all your security investigations. I ain't never done anything. I told a story. I told it all, everything. And I was in there with like 2 hours with that dude. And like the next day, I got a letter slid under my door. It's all super cryptic. I got a letter slid under my door and said, meet me in this room. I go down there, and they got the station chiefs down there, and like a couple of other guys. Don't know them. They're all Jim, Bob, and Steve. I don't know who they are. And,
Working for Acme.
Yeah. And they handed me this deck statement, and it was like, Phil, you've crushed all of the physical stuff, the mental stuff. There's no quit in you. You're exactly what you want, what we want. But some of the stuff that you told us in the security investigation, we ain't got no place for that. And, I said, I don't do any of that stuff now. They were like, yeah, but, it get dug up and this and that. And I was like, well, I'm never saying nothing to nobody again.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a blessing again, because I went back to the hotel room. I was sad. Called my old lady, and I was sad. And she was like, can you go back to the 160th? And I was like, I don't know. So I called back to the 160th, and I was like, hey, I'm ready to come back if I can go to Campbell. And they were like, okay, let me look you up. I was redacted. I was still out of they were like, where are you at? What are you doing? Mm-hmm. And I was like, So I went up, talked to them, to the SMU dudes. And I was like, hey, you need to unredact me, like, so I can start doing work again. And they ended up unredacting me. They pulled me up in the system, and they said, hey, can you be here in 30 days? You can go to Campbell. And I was like, sure, why not? So came back, cleared Fort Hood, and showed up to Fort Campbell in December of 2012.
You're still a CW2?
Yep, sure am.
Got about 1,300 hours?
Maybe 400 goggle hours. I'm still wet behind the ears.
You, so pack up your whole family, go to Campbell?
Yep, it's just me and her, and we had 2 dogs.
How long were you in Hood for?
That time, 11, 12, a year. I did the year deployment 30 days before it, and then came back, did about 2 or 3 months, and then I was back. I was going to Campbell.
Damn, that fast.
Yeah.
Get to 160th?
Yep. Tried out for those guys, and it changed my life. So at that point, I had already done 5 deployments.
5 deployments. How long are you in the Army?
So let's see, that's 2011, 10 years.
10 years now?
11 years.
At this point, did you know you wanted to do 20?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was my goal from the very beginning. Like, I'm going to do 20. I'm going to do 20, especially after I started loving it and, like, it was me. I was like, I'm doing 20. I'd still be in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get to that as well. So you show up to 160th. Was it everything you thought it was going to be?
Nope. Sure wasn't. I thought I was going to be coming in there with a whole bunch of, you see Delta Force. I figured Delta Force dudes were, everybody be cock diesel.
Yeah.
Fucking eating protein bars and shit. And no, that's not the case.
We joked about that on the last one I recorded, how special operations, the operators, these dudes are yoked, man. I don't know what they're doing, but I've never seen, the medics that are special forces, 18
Echoes, I believe.
Well, we got one assigned to us in my last deployment.
Yeah.
He was the medic. Dude was yoked.
Oh, yeah. And they're better than doctors. That dude could be a surgeon.
I'll never forget, we got a Cat Alpha POI. He was in the shower. dude runs out of shower butt naked.
Yes.
He forgot that there's a woman around because, on the compounds, there's really no women. He's running around butt naked. I'm like,
hey, you got to do work.
Hey,
you
man.
got to save somebody. That's his mission.
I was like, hey, you got to have clothes on.
Man,
I'm ready to go, Mr. Santiago. Let's go. I'm like, all right, man, cool. But
yeah, you might want to cover that thing up.
So you get there. It's not what you expected. What happens?
I get there, and just my personality, I just wanted to exceed, right? I just wanted to be the best again. Had another run-in with early on in my career at the 160th. I failed a UA. I was a big CrossFitter. That's my outlet for all this stuff. Once I stopped drinking when I was in pretty much when I was in Honduras, and I met my ex-wife because that wasn't her thing. So I pretty much quit drinking. I have a drink so you can trust me. Like if you poured me a cup, I'd drink it just so you could trust me. But I'm not gonna have 6 of them and get jacked up with you.
Correct. Same way, by the way.
Yeah, but so I show up, and when you show up, they give you a tracker, right? And it's self-paced. It's big boy rules, right? You got to do these 20 things in order to move to the next level. And I was like, all right, let's do them. And I wanted to get them done right away. You've got 2 years per the regs to make FMQ, fully mission qualified. The 2 years is too long. I ain't got time to be sitting around waiting for that. So I made it in like 18 months, right? And I just kept on making myself valuable, right? Because I learned that, and I tell guys that now. There's so much stuff to learn, so many different tasks, so many different environments. Find something that you're good at and you enjoy, right? And own that, right? Whether it be if you're going to do air refueling, right? If that's your thing, make that you shine at that. Know how to do the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
That way, when I was a flight lead, right? And if I knew you were great at planning X, right? I'm calling you when it comes time to do a mission because I know that's your jam. Like I know that you know how to beat air defense threats like no other. Like you study that stuff in your sleep. I'm bringing you with me. Because I'm still not the smartest guy in the room. I never will be, but I know how to build a team, and get the right people in the right room so that everybody's successful. And I just started just trying to be the best I could, just trying to get on everything. And what I got good at was I don't know how, but I was real good with Falcon View. I could print out maps that were perfect. I knew how to get the maps when they weren't from the server when we were going somewhere. And these old heads didn't even know how to barely turn the computer on, right? They were wizards in a helicopter, like some of these W5s, because in the regiment, guys fly until they die.
Yeah. We're talking about some stellar aviators, man.
Yeah, dude's got like 10,000 hours, and like he can land on a dime, but tell him to turn the computer on. Ain't happening. Tell him to build a PowerPoint slide. He'll brief the crap out of that slide.
Yeah.
But to put it together, so I got good at, I was a route guy, right? You got 2 tracks you can really take in my eyes. You can either be the packet control guy when you're whipping the whip and getting all the products together when it's time to go, and you got the route guy. And that's where I was the route dude. And the flight leads, I knew how to get the stuff done. I knew what they liked. I knew how to play the game. I knew how to fluff the pillows, and like I just played the game and just kept on working. And it worked out because I started going on. I'm not to go into many details, but like I've been on 7 blowouts, right? When the president calls, like I've been on 7 of those. Yeah. And that's life changing, man. To be able to go save somebody's life, or to be able to go get that dude that's on Fox News now that you got Trump talking about Baghdadi, like. Yeah. That's cool stuff, right? Yeah. You're doing what you're living in your purpose. And the 160th, I did 16 deployments with them. They're all 30, 60. I got stuck on the COVID deployment. That was 120 days. So all in all, 19 deployments for 10 and a half years. But
how much time altogether you think that was?
The 19 deployments?
Yeah.
10 and a half years. I've done the math. 10 and a half years out of the 22 I was in was deployed to some country.
Does that include your regular Army as well?
Yeah.
So 10 years, half your time in the military you spent deployed.
Yep.
That's a lot of experience right there.
Yep. And it's irreplaceable. Like I've seen stuff, I've done stuff, and luckily I've learned recently through therapy and all that stuff, I don't sit with stuff. Like if something happens to me, and I know I've learned this on my journey too, I know everybody's not the same. Like if something happens to me, I sit with it for like 30 seconds. If I can't change it or I can't affect it, I can't worry about it. I got to keep moving. And I've done all of this through the work. My therapist didn't understand, like, why don't you, PTSD, right? I got diagnosed with it because I'll tell you about that in a second, but I got it. And I move, right? Whether it be CrossFit, when I was CrossFitting, I go throw weights around. Whether it be now, I do ultra marathons. I go run for 30 miles in the woods, right? I always move. I don't sit with things. I let it, like, I'm not running away from anything. I just run to it and run through it and keep it moving. Because if I sit with something, the way I look at it, and I know everybody's different, right? But if I sit with something and dwell on it that I can't change and I can't have any effect on, what's the purpose? I'm just eating myself up at that time.
Correct.
So I just keep moving.
How important do you think movement is to the mind and the body?
For me, you can't replace that. All right. I've been in some bad times, and I noticed that I'm still. I'm not active. I'm not doing anything, and I'm sitting in my pity. And then I just get this swift kick in my tail, and I'm like, no, sir, this ain't you. This ain't what we need to be doing. And I get up and I go run for 2-3 hours and just shake it all off, and then I'm a different person.
Love it, man. I agree with you, man. I don't know if you know about me, but I owned a gym for 5 years.
Okay.
And the way I got there, I realized that movement saved my life.
Yeah.
So 2 things saved my life: my service dog, Bristol, and exercising, man.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for those 2 things, and I'm an advocate for those things.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate you for saying that as well, because we need to let society, because one of the biggest issues we have right now in society is mental health.
Yeah.
But there's not enough people getting sunlight and moving their bodies. If they did
just get up and move, man.
Those 2 things right there, it'll fix a lot of problems. And you got 2 guys right here. We both look in shape. We work out every day. We're very disciplined people. And you get those skills by working out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. How long did it take you? You said 18 months to become FMQ.
Yep.
How long did it take you to become flight lead?
So I had a wild event. It was 2017. My ex called me while I was deployed and was like, hey, I got a job opportunity I can't refuse. And I was like, okay. It was back down in Texas, back on Fort Hood. She was going to work for this big developer, doing some law work. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So me, again, I can work the system like no other. I called up Branch. Branch yelled at me because the 160th branch dude didn't call. But I started I said, hey, I got to go. I got to go for my family. I got to go. So we, in 2018.
Real quick, did that hurt your career at all? Backdooring the 160th branch guy?
It didn't because of who I am.
Okay.
If I was a dirtbag or if people didn't like me, then I would have it would have been looked down upon. But when I went for the right reason and said I'm going for my family, they couldn't really argue.
So they understood the intention here.
Yeah.
All right, I get it.
But I worked the system and got down to Fort Hood, and that was a rough year.
I was just gonna ask you how hard was that on you? Because even me, I tried to get to the 160th. They told me to come back after my deployment. Got hurt. I went out and got out the Army. Right.
Yeah.
So I strive to get there too. But you leave this elite organization that has a reputation that's, a very not traditional, but esteemed reputation. Yeah. How did that feel to leave that and then go back to regular Army? And there's nothing wrong with regular Army, but there is a life difference.
Yeah. It was a pretty big deal because, what's in the motto? Night Stalkers don't quit, right? Mm-hmm. I felt like I was quitting. I knew I was doing it for the family, but for me on the inside, I was like, man, these are my brothers. I go to war with these dudes. I know their families, but I'm just about to pop smoke. But I did it for the right reasons. We went down to Fort Hood, and I was supposed to be going back to my old unit, to 3227. And I'm talking to the SP that I'm going to take over for. Everything's good. I show up, and I go to his office, and I'm like, hey, man, I'm here. And he goes, oh, you didn't hear? And I was like, what? He goes, they need you to go down to the med down in 2227. And I was like, why would I go to the med? Well, come to find out, they were so jacked up. They were about to get shut down.
Really?
They didn't have an instructor pilot there for 6 months. People hadn't done A parts. People didn't have assigned CTLs. It was bad. So I went in there the first day and did a record scrub and was like, sir, you need to ground the fleet. Like, I got a lot of work to do. There's guys that ain't even taken a ride in a year. Like, no, you guys got flying. You know what a CTL is, sir? Yeah, it's my contractor. You know, there isn't one. And he's like, are you for real? And I was like, yeah, bro. So, and then the big Army, you know, there's only one computer in the office. There's only one printer. There's nothing in the regiment. Everybody's got a computer. You need to go do work. You do your work and you go home. Everybody's waiting on one computer. So it was just a mess, but I enjoyed it because I got to teach again, right? In the 160 as an instructor pilot, you got a guy that shows up. He's got 2,000 hours. I got a train flight decel and a fast roper, the same thing. Just want to show that out there, right? You do a train flight decel and then you say ropes.
Correct.
Right? So you just got to teach them some of the ground force lingo and how to work with the ground force. But you know, getting a lieutenant in there with you or a brand new W1 that can't freaking start the helicopter or hover, like
correct, hover with hover hold.
Yeah, like that's a whole new ball game, and I enjoyed that because I got to teach again. I got to teach and see the light bulb come on and get to see like, hey, 1,000 feet, 100 knots. Why? It's not because I'm an asshole and that's what I want you to do. It's so I can tell you, if you can do that, then I know you can do X, Y, and Z, right?
Correct. It's that compounding effect, right?
Yes.
It's
like,
just you
can you
checking
control the helicopter? Can you do it what you want it to do, right? And to teach them that and to, you know, pop the boost off on these kids and watch the aircraft start dancing around and then to take the controls and go and touch it and then stop it and they're like, how'd you do that? I'm like, stop fighting. Just lead with love, man. Just love this thing. It'll work out for you.
A helicopter's like a woman, man.
You just gotta love it.
Just love it, and it'll treat you right.
Yep.
What was your rank when you left 160th?
I was a W3 at that time.
W3?
Yep.
How many flight hours?
I showed up to there. I had about 3,000 flight hours and probably about 1,500 goggle hours.
Damn. Now, I want to, if you can, all right, because, hell, I want to hear it, and I know a lot of people out there want to hear it.
What's up?
Is there any mission you could talk about that you did in while you were at 160th?
I can be very vague and tell you not where it was at or what was happening, but
in fact, just talk about your most memorable mission if you can.
Yeah, it was a blowout, hostage rescue, and we got to go and save some people's lives. There was a couple that went backpacking in Afghanistan, not the smartest place in the world. It was during the Obama administration, and we went and we attempted to save them. This was back when, not to talk politics, but Obama wasn't able to, we had them dead to rights where they were. And Obama was in Martha's Vineyard and wasn't able to be contacted that day. So we had to roll 24 and we ended up losing them. But they ended up getting repatriated later on. But that mission was wild because it turned into a fest when we got down there because we knew that the people we were going after, the group. So then it turned into just a hit after hit after hit after hit for about a month. So it was good flying, good planning. And we were just doing work. It was dark. It was a very, very growing and very spiritual experience just to be able to get out there and do that for real. Everything we do over there is for real, but like to have, you know, I'm affecting somebody's life that's not in the military, that didn't want this, that has nothing to do with this, but I can go save them. Yeah,
that's huge. How was it working with the operators?
I loved them. I got along with them great. My personality again. Some people, you know, they didn't get invited into the circle, but I had a great time. I got the operator chicken. They serve grilled chicken every day. I ate the grilled chicken every day, right? I just went and took it, right? So everybody else is like, how do you go back there and get it? I was like, I just went and got it. What are they going to stop me?
Exactly. More of a ask for forgiveness than permission, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever, with your personality being the way it is, and you've mentioned it several times, did you ever find yourself having trouble fitting in? Because I know in these elite groups, there is a lot of strong personalities. And a lot of the guys I know, they just, you know, aviators. And now we're bumping it up another level. Did you ever find yourself having trouble fitting in?
Not really, because like from my past, like I'm a chameleon. I can get in there and talk. I can talk about bourbon, or I can sit there and talk about your hunting stand, or I can talk about your truck, or I can do whatever you want me to. And then they accepted me once they realized like who I was. They just knew Phil was Phil, right? And I kept a picture of my family on the desk, my black family on the desk, and they were like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's my mama." And they're like, "Oh." So that everything just got, it just worked out.
Yeah, that's good. What was your biggest takeaway from being in the 160th?
The biggest takeaway from the 160th is like I'm going to talk about here in a little bit is the mental health piece, right? They will ride you all the way and put you up wet, right? And you're going to feel like a punk or you're going to feel like a whatever. But when you need to take a knee, right, you got to take a knee. And you got to, you being non-combat effective and still going out there and doing that stuff. I was a master of compartmentalizing stuff. Me and my old lady could get in an argument for whatever reason. I would just, I don't stick with emotions. I would just put that on a shelf somewhere and just go execute. But other guys can't. And other guys will be a wreck. And I would rather you take a knee and somebody else takes your spot until you get better than to just keep drilling yourself into the ground and then you're worthless by the end of it.
Yeah. Is the brotherhood as tight as they talk about?
Yeah, we're pretty thick as thieves.
Yeah. Hell, I only know you guys by associations like Bob, right?
Yeah.
I've known that man for 24 years, and I know he's only one phone call away if I need him.
Bob is an awesome human being.
Hopefully I got that relationship with you after
Absolutely.
today. So I feel like we're going to build a good friendship after this.
Yeah, for sure.
So you leave 160th, go down to 227 medevac.
Yep.
Get handed pretty much a shit show, burning dump, a fire dumpster, whatever they call it.
Yep.
How long did it take you to rebuild that program?
I did it quick. I got the right people. I had a young IP that showed up that wanted to fly his butt off. He was like 600 hours or whatever, and I let him go. I was like, go. I built up. They didn't have a plan or anything. I put that whiteboard up, start putting names on there, and then just started progressing people. I think I had 12 guys to progress when I showed up, and I flew every day. And I just went out and for that commander and just flew those guys and got them up so that we could be a functioning unit because we were about to. Because stateside, there's still some medevac units that pull, coverage for the installation.
Correct. Yep.
Well, Bliss was about to deploy, and we were going to provide medevac for the installation. We didn't have enough people. We didn't have a crews to do it, so I had to work to get them up. And at the same time, the Army was trying to implement the dynamic hoist. Right? I don't know if you heard of that.
No, I haven't heard of that one.
Ooh, I put a next to that. There's two ways, right? So the dynamic hoist is the medic starts, you go, I don't remember exactly, but below 80 knots, right? Medic hooks up, starts dwindling down, right? And it's because when you're hovering and you're doing a hoist, the medic starts spinning, right? Because
Correct.
of the vortices, right? Well, when you're coming in at like 60 knots, right? They're streamlined, so they don't. But then you got to come to a hover at a point, and then dynamically they come down, they touch. It's supposed to be the same time. They unclip, and you take off. I got 300-hour guys, and I'm going to try to get them to have a guy on a rope flying through. No, sir.
Shit briefs well.
I told DES, I said, I'm not doing this.
Yeah,
and they were like, what? And I said, sir, look at the dynamics of my company, right? My high time crew chief has like 1,200 hours. After him is like 300 hours. Who's running this hoist? What medic is going to... I'm not doing it. And they ended up... I had to brief the battalion commander, the brigade commander, and I was like, sir, this... And I was a little more professional. But I was like, this is dumb. Like, you're going to get somebody hurt. Like, we don't have the ability to do this. They don't even do this in the 160th. Why the hell would we do this here? And so I got that nixed, but... It was wild because...
Who came up with that idea?
DES.
Like, where'd they pull that out of their ass?
The medic DES people, because of the base, so they wouldn't be spinning. The only time that I could see that being a valuable thing, and that's with a supreme crew, right? We got 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 hour guys. We got high time medic, high time crew chief in the back. Is if there was a medic that needed to get to a pinnacle, right? And there was bad guys around, you could come do that thing to the pinnacle, fly off, and then go hold, loiter or whatever, and then come back and pick up the medic. But other than that, like just to a normal POI, there's no need for that.
Damn. That's rough.
Yeah.
You still a CW3 at the time?
Yep. Sure am.
What's your year mark?
I got promoted to W4 in 2000. And that is 2017, 18 that I was there. So I still had like 3 years left. So I was a mid-grade W3.
Okay, mid-grade W3. How long were you at this medevac unit for?
1 year exactly to the dot.
Where did you go after that?
Back to the 160th.
Really?
Yep. I stayed in contact with the battalion commander, with the regimental commander, all the SPs and everything, just to keep my name in there because I didn't know how long I was going to be gone for. My marriage started falling apart, and I was like, I'm going back. She ended up going back to help her dad out, and I was like, I'm going back to the 160th.
So you're there for a year. What was your biggest takeaway and most memorable moment at 227?
RLOs are they're paid help. I remember them trying to get me to go to PT. I own a gym too, and I'm a partial owner of a gym down in Texas, and I would go and I'd work out and teach class every morning, right? Well, I wasn't going to PT. I told him straight up, like, I'm not going to PT because I'm not doing the cherry picker. I'm not doing the bend and reach.
Yeah, we ain't doing that.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And I went one time just to appease this guy, and I'm like, I'm not doing this ever again. I will be at my gym working out, and then I'll come to work when it's my time to come to work. And then also I learned that these guys need love too, right? These guys need instructors, and they need good dudes to teach them.
Correct.
And they're few and far between now, because the way the big Army works is once you get to like W4 now, you're not on the flight line too much. You go to be a senior warrant officer somewhere. You're not doing the work anymore. So now you got these young W3s trying to teach these guys they're young themselves, and the experience level is dwindling. And then now they learn in what do they learn in the 72, the Dakota?
Yeah.
They don't learn how to fly the aircraft. They learn how to be cockpit managers, right? They learn how to be mission managers. They push buttons to get the aircraft to go to 1,000 feet and 80 knots. They don't fly the aircraft to set 1,000 feet, 80 knots. So when it comes time where all of a sudden the FCCs aren't working and you can't couple or you can't do whatever, well, now you got to fly the aircraft still.
Yeah.
And they don't have that. They don't have that back.
I agree with you 100%. It amazes me how the big Army, they don't have the resources as the 160th.
No.
I understand that, right? But the big Army could learn so much from the 160th. And just something as simple as what you just said, keeping the experience at the company level.
Yes.
Because I got a buddy now, he's in the big Army, and he talks about the lack of experience and all the slick sleeves. And
Yep.
he's like, Jay, you wouldn't even believe it.
Dude, in Delta Company 160th, I think we had 5 or 6 W5s that were in the company.
That's crazy.
That were in the company flying missions daily. Like, they had already done their SP time, and now they just come back to the company to give back. You don't go and die somewhere. You literally fly until you say you're retiring.
I think the Army could really, and it only takes a conversation, right?
Yeah.
Get one the top, hell, there's a shitload of W5s at the 160th. Take one of those guys and just advise the big Army on how they should do things.
Yeah.
And it's not only that, the big Army needs to be receptive to it.
Yes.
And implement what they're being told, because you guys got it figured out over there. It's crazy. Like you said, you said they take all the experience and they go put it somewhere in an office.
Yep.
Like, who are they saving there?
Nobody.
Exactly. So you get back to 160th.
Yep.
How happy were you?
I was ecstatic leaving Fort Hood when I got in the car, but I called up the senior warrant officer I was working with, and he goes, "Phil, I got some news." And I was like, "What's up?" He said, Am I still going to Campbell?" And he was like, "Yeah, you're still going to Campbell." And I was like, "Okay, what's wrong?" He goes, "I need you to go to 2nd Battalion. And just so you know, 1st Battalion and 2nd Battalion, same Blackhawks, same pilots, same assessment process. They don't talk to each other. They don't talk to each other at all. The other battalion, like 1st Battalion, had this. We were the National Mission Force.
Yeah. I heard
those
about that.
guys were white soft. Those guys did that stuff. They didn't know they didn't know how to do that stuff. They needed me to go to 2nd Battalion because I already done all my flight lead train up stuff pretty much. I just needed a couple more things, and they didn't have a flight lead over there. They had one guy that was Mike Hardy, stellar human being, but he had done, I think at that point, you could retire and then you could come back, but you didn't have to do a PT test, or
Yeah,
you didn't have
yeah,
to,
yeah,
you just show up and do the work.
Yeah, I heard about that
Yeah.
secret right now, army
Yeah.
right now.
So he was doing that. Great guy. Mike Hardy is a legend. This dude is, I can't even say some of the stuff he's done, but he is a legend. But he was there. And then there was another guy that was there. I'm not going to say his name, but you had, the difference was like when guys were with Mike Hardy, they were locked in, they were ready to go. But then as soon as Mike Hardy wasn't in charge, they kind of just did the second battalion thing, right? And I'm a rule follower, right? I can bend them now, but I'm a rule follower. Like if they tell me to be in uniform, I'm gonna be in uniform, right? Well, second battalion would be in like sweatshirts and like, you know, half uniform, halves, and I'm just like, and because in first battalion we didn't do that yet, because we were always with the ground force, we were always in the limelight, and I was just like, wow, this is wild. But I got to know the guys, right? Some awesome human. Bob's over there, you know. Jerome Amarino, another stellar dude, and they follow the same tax op we follow. They start the helicopter the same way, they fly the same way, but we just never talked because we didn't deal with the same customer. And so I got over there and just started, you know, feeding into those guys. Made flight lead. Went on a deployment. To couple deployments, but and this is where my career ended, was over there, because my back was still always jacked up from lifting, right? CrossFit, 600-pound deadlift doesn't get you anywhere. I'm telling you right there. It does not serve you in life, except for that 1 second when you do it.
Exactly.
You feel great. After that, when your disc are flying across the gym, it doesn't serve you.
How many years were you in the Army at this point?
So this is 2018, 19. So I'm at like 19 years, 19, 20 years.
Retiring hasn't even crossed your mind?
No. Not even close. But I was pulling tanks. I was a flight lead at this point, and we got this big 185-gallon tanks that we can put in the back to give us more fuel, and the ground force wanted them out, right? So I was like, all right, cool. And it's a crew chief job, but I work with the men, right? I was a flight lead. I don't care. So I went out there, and I was pulling tanks, and there was still some fuel in one of the tanks, and I pulled that sucker, shot a disc halfway across the place.
The only thing that moved was that disc.
That was it. The tank didn't move at all. My whole right leg went numb. Couldn't feel anything, and I couldn't go home though. Right? I could have gone home, but Phil, I didn't want. If I left, the ground force wouldn't have Blackhawks, right? Because nobody could come replace me. So I had a great, and after it all started progressing, I realized I was in the best medical care I could have been in at the time, right? Because if I came back, I would have scheduled PT. I had to drive an hour or for 30 minutes to get in there, do an hour, and then I got to drive back. I had so much care while I was over there. I had the Delta docs, the whole SRT team, the surgical readiness team. They were all working on me.
Damn.
The doc was needling me all the time. It was, I had 24-hour care. The SRT guys were calling back to some lady physical therapist, and we were Zooming over physical therapy, and it was just constant work on me. And so I just stayed. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't walk. I remember I had like this cane that I made. I remember giving an A and B and air mission brief, and I was sitting in I couldn't sit up straight because my back was jacked up. And I'm sitting there, I'm pointing with my pointer, briefing, and it was just bad. My stick buddy, he was my stick. His name, Bounds was his name. The only position I could fly in and be comfortable was if I was flying and I was hunched over.
Is this all same day going on, or?
This is the whole month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is the whole month. I can't feel nothing. I'm doing missions and all sorts of stuff.
Damn.
I can't do anything, but I'm in there, I'm flying. I couldn't use, I didn't want to, if I sat back and not flying, my back would I couldn't do it, right? So I flew everywhere we went, but I couldn't push the brakes because my feet didn't work.
Damn.
So my buddy, my Bounds would have to press the brake. I'd be like, brakes, and he would press the brakes for me. But I did the rest of that deployment. Docs took care of me the best they could. I went back, I was able to schedule my MRI while I was there. So I got an MRI like the second day I was there, and then like a week later I was going to have surgery. They had to have a double laminectomy, L3, L4, S1, S2, L4, L5, S1, S2. They go in there, they shave off some of the laminectomy or the lamin and shave off some of the disc and decompress the cord and the nerve. And that was it.
Did that ground you immediately?
Yeah. And
Did it ground you permanently, or was it just a temporary comeback?
No. So the first one was I got the first surgery done. Right, I was rehabbing. About 30 days into it, my daughter, she's daughter Gigi. She was 30 pounds. I bent over to pick her up. Right, you're not supposed to lift over 20. And I don't have allergies ever. For whatever reason, I bent down to pick her up and sneezed like a grown man, and shot out the other side. Right, because it was already compromised from the surgery. Shot out the other side. Left leg started going numb. I was like, oh, God. Luckily, I called my flight doc. I was like, hey, what do I do? He goes, well, you're still under the care of the surgeon. And I was like, okay, Dr. Scacchetti. Dude, he's retired now, but he was an amazing human being. Called him up. I said, hey, I talked to his nurse or whatever. I said, hey, same thing just happened the other side. What do I do? He said, come in and see me. So I came in and saw him. And he was like, all right. We did another MRI. He said, check it out. You got two options. Option one, we can try rehab. We can try PT. You can try all this stuff. If it doesn't work, 6 months later, I'm going to be doing the same surgery. You already have a fresh scar on your back. I'm just going to cut it down another like 2 inches, 2 centimeters, 2 inches, whatever it was.
Damn.
And I'll clean up the other side, and you'll be good to go in the same rehab time. So I was like, you know what? Let's go. Well, that was the one. I was still rehabbing, trying to come back, but they kind of said Rucker, after 2 back surgeries, probably won't give you another upslip. And I was like, I'll figure it out. So I came back and I was rehabbing. I was trying my best. About a year went by and we were getting close to that year mark. And 160th was going to take care of me. They were just going to put me out roll me out to an aircraft, bring it up to a hover in the side, put it back down, log an hour, and I could have reset my year again.
Yeah.
But at that point in my life, I was at 21 years. And I've been deployed 19 times. I've been rode hard, put up wet. My family had definitely taken a big toll of that. I know that now. And I came up with this mantra in my head like, hey, the Army was good for Phil, but it's not good for Phil's family.
Yeah.
And I started believing that. And I told my ex at the time, I was like, hey, I mentioned the med board and I could be out in 6 months. And she was like, yeah, do that. And I was like, I shouldn't have said nothing. So I pretty much quit again.
What made you want to do that? Well, what made that thought come in your mind and, say it out loud to somebody? Because you know how we think about things, but we keep them to ourselves.
Yeah. I don't keep stuff to myself. If it comes to my mind, I say it right when it comes up. So I was just in conversation and was like, hey, I can med board and be out in 6 months. And that stuck. It was like, okay. It was an option. Yeah. It became a priority. So I wasn't ready to get out. I'd still be in now, flying. I'm 100% healthy. I'm good to go. But I started the process to med board. We were gonna. She was leaving Big Law. We were gonna start companies in Clarksville, a law firm, a title company. She said I could be the CFO for the companies because I'm good at fuel numbers. I can add, I guess. I don't know. So I'd be a CFO for $1 million company. So I did that. Ended up getting out of the military. It was sad because I felt like I was quitting. I mean, I put on a good show, at work, to show that I was still, messed up or whatever. But like, I still wanted to do what I do. Right. Yeah. That was my identity. Right. I know we shouldn't let something be what we're identified by, but like, that's all I had. Like, military was me.
What was your biggest takeaway from that transition time and that second portion of being in the 160th?
From the transition portion, right, in the military, was always my outlet, right? I could go home and just do what I was told, yep. Just fall in and just do the right thing and smile and wave and be the good husband. But I always had an outlet, right? I could always go back and be in charge and be, people listened. People, when I needed something, I could say, hey, I need this. And people would show up and do it for me, especially when I was flight lead, right? If I said I needed X, Y, and Z, I had 4 dudes coming up and I got you. And I got out and that's gone, right? I mean, they talk about it, but when you get out, you're out. Like, they don't give a flying about your military career. Come here, buddy.
Yeah, the world doesn't.
No, they don't care. I was a flight lead and leading, briefing presidential missions and all sorts of other stuff. Sorry about that, y'all. And they, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
Nobody.
Nobody gives a crap.
I think that's one of the most humbling things for us combat aviators, man.
Yeah, but I got blessed because my spouse, my ex-wife at the time, she gave me a transition from, you know, being in the, you know, the 160th to now I'm a CFO of a company. Like, she gave me an easy I didn't have to work for it. Like, it was a blessing. We created these companies, and the problem was, though, like, I did all the things for the company. I was the CFO. I was the IT guy. I cleaned, if there was a leak in the toilet, I was the toilet dude. Like,
You're the entrepreneur.
I did it all.
That's the life of an entrepreneur, right?
And I
there.
tell you what, I mean, I don't knock the entrepreneur life at all.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
I you know, but when it's time for me to go home, and I don't care if the toilet's leaking, right? You know, with my job now, I don't care. Like, hey, I'll put in a work order, but like, that's not my problem. When something went bad in the office, that was my problem, and I stayed until it fixed.
Yeah.
You know, we had to reformat all the computers for Windows 11 or whatever it was when it came out. I was there on a Friday night till like 2 o'clock in the morning with all the ladies' laptops sitting there re-downloading all the stuff on their computers, putting it on their computers. Like,
I get it, bro.
That's my job.
Yeah, I get it. How tough was that transition for you?
It was pretty tough because I was searching for purpose, right?
Yeah, that's deep.
And I found it in a nonprofit here in Nashville. It's called Aerial Recovery Group. And literally I retired on April 2nd of 2022. And April, I want to say 7th or 8th, I ended up I was in Ukraine, helping save kids from, so basically what happened in the war, right? Everybody went to war in Ukraine. Everybody went to war. Well, my kids and my wife going to, work in a hospital. I'm going to fight. They put all the kids in orphanages, right? Well, then you got these guys coming from like Amsterdam or whatever in these sweet Sprinter vans, and they're like, hey, I can take all these kids to Poland, and we got a safe house. It'll be safe. Well, Aerial Recovery Group, on top of all the natural disasters work they do, they also have an anti-human trafficking work. This is what they also do, and they're huge in it. Well, they were trafficking these kids, right? And they were the one they did the whole thing. They watched them move them from Ukraine all the way to Mexico, and then they had a brothel in Mexico that they were running, right? Well, what the Aerial does is there are a whole bunch of fifth group guys or JTACs and stuff like that, and a couple of us sprinkled in there. They went down there and they talked to the federale and they offer their assistance, right? Because we can't go do anything down there.
Correct.
They offer their assistance and they teach them, they educate them, and then they assist in helping take down these predators. And I loved it, man. That was where my heart was. I was at Hurricane Ian. What else did I do? There was a couple other big natural disasters that I was right in the middle of. Hurricane Ian went right over our head, and I was literally flying a drone looking for people like right as soon as it was gone. And you're just falling back in and doing a purpose and working and helping people. There's nothing better than to be able to go to one story. There was this lady and standing on top of her house. It was gone, and she was crying. And I just went up and said, "Hey, can I give you a hug? You okay? You want?" And then she's like, "Can you help me find my shoes?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can help you find your shoes. That's easy." I was like, "Where they at?" She goes, "They're in my room." And I was like, "Okay, where's your room at?" She goes, "It was over there." So I sat there for an hour and dug through rubble to find this lady her shoes.
Damn.
And that made her day.
Yeah.
To go somewhere, even in combat, right? To go somewhere, have somebody that is completely helpless, and to be able to help them, right? To give them what they need, fills my cup up, man. Just to be able to do that, and that was my purpose. Like I loved it.
Where do you think you got that from?
I've always loved to serve, man. I've always had respect for everybody. My grandma, she beat that into me with her sandal. And just to be able to serve, like even when I was a young kid, I wasn't raised in the church, right? I remember going to church and I would get the little earpiece and the walkie-talkie and I would go out in the parking lot and make sure people didn't break into cars. Like I just loved serving and doing that kind of stuff. So when the opportunity came to be able to help kids and people that are in need, that was it. I loved it.
How long did you do that for?
I did that for probably 2 years. I have this great program that I got to go to called Heal the Heroes. Brittany Turner and Jeremy Locke, they're the masterminds of this. They own all of it. It's for heroes, right? It does first responders, all the military. She owns an island in the British Virgin Islands.
Damn.
Yeah, you go to a 5-day, all inclusive. It's all healing. It's all just. She brings in all these people to speak to us, and it's huge because you do the 5 days of that, and then you go into Jeremy Locke's program, which is, I think it was 12 weeks, right? And it's like a hard 75 hard, but he makes it into the Army stuff. You do that. And you're in a group of 25 guys. So in a WhatsApp group, we meet we meet once a week on Zoom. We chat, go over about an hour of class. She brings in money men. She brings in health guys, biohacking stuff, like all this stuff that we would never even be able to afford or even know about any of this stuff. She just dumps it all on us. And then you go into her program, which is called G-Force. It's an entrepreneur group. And it's the rest of the year, so it's another 8 months, right? So you get a whole year of this stuff, and then we're still in a WhatsApp group, and we still chat, and we still, like, some people just post all the time, and we're always there for each other. A couple guys have come up on the net and said they need help. People are there to help them. Like, it's just most of these things you can go to heal. It's a week, 2 weeks, and then they send you off into the wild, wild west again. Like, there's no follow up. There's no nothing. Like, yeah, I went to this camp. It was great. And now what? Right. Yeah. So it's a community. And in that group, the entrepreneur group, there's all these, like, to be in the group. I don't know how much it is. It's tens of thousands of dollars to be in this, not for us, but for the actual entrepreneurs.
Yep.
They're CEOs, business people. Like, there's vets that they don't want to hire. These guys don't want to hire a college kid. Right. So they'll see you and be like, well, he's struggling, but he's been in the Army for 20 years. He's, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to show up. He knows that he's disciplined. I'm going to hire you to be my project manager and give you $120K a year. And their guys are just getting these opportunities.
Yeah, it's good.
And it's building the team of heroes so that when these natural disasters come, like I think they're going to Miramar right now for the
earthquake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're heading out there to save people and do work.
All right, Phil. So you leave the Army.
Yep.
You start working for this. What's the company again?
It's a title company, a law firm.
No, the
Aerial Recovery.
Aerial Recovery.
Yes, sir.
At what point and if it did happen or if it not, did all the things you've dealt with in Army, did it ever come and hit you like a sledgehammer or?
Nope, because I've always dealt with stuff by moving. Like, I've just shook it. None of this stuff, I mean, obviously some of this stuff sticks with you. But through movement and, life, none of that stuff really came back and hit me hard. When I went to Ukraine, that was the most fulfilling deployment I have ever been on because I had a purpose. I was going to save kids. Like, I don't know how many deployments before I was in the 160th that I went on, and, like, I just went. And you don't know what you're doing. You don't know why you're there. Like, Saddam's gone. I don't know why we're still in Iraq. The weapons of mass destruction ain't real, y'all.
Correct. So after Aerial Recovery, is that when you became the CFO?
I was already doing that on as soon as I got out, we started those companies, and I was doing the CFO work. And then Aerial Recovery was my purpose. That's how I got to fill my cup up from, because in the office I was, I didn't have any authority. I was the boss's wife or husband. So, nobody listened. If I spoke, if I got, I called it mission mode, right? When I was running around and I needed stuff done, like I was trying to get work done, and I talk and I get it, fast, and they needed work done. The girls would be like, "He's mean," and I'm like, and I didn't know how to assimilate.
Yeah.
Right, because that's how, if I need something done, I start moving. I start shaking and like, let's go.
I think that's one of the biggest disconnects we as veterans have with civilian people.
Yeah.
Like, we move, we get shit done.
Yeah.
And I think that intimidates a lot of people. And then our directness, clear, being concise with people, a lot of people take that as being rude and crass. And, I mean... Abrasive. I had so many people felt like I was being mean to them.
Yeah.
And I had to explain to him, I'm not being mean. I apologize you feel this way. It's just we have to get things done.
Absolutely.
And it was unfortunate. How long were you the CFO at this company?
Until we got divorced. So it was till around October of 23. So from when I got out, started by August of 21 is when I started the med board process, and then until October of 23.
How long was that med board process for you?
6 months. I didn't mess around. They told me I could do it in 6 months.
Damn, that's fast.
I did. I did it all. I did it like people can drag it out, and they can, as soon as they offered me an appointment, I took it. For my TBI appointment, there was no providers in the local area, so they were like, it's going to be probably like 6 months until somebody picks it up. And I was like, can I go outside of the area? If you want to drive to Louisville or Chattanooga, I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So I drove to Chattanooga to get my TBI inspection done.
Damn, I thought mine was fast. I did mine in 8 months.
6 months, dude, flash the bang, I was gone.
Damn. That is pretty fast. What is the most memorable moment in your whole military career?
My most memorable moment in my military career. There's a lot. The one that sticks out to me now the most would be just the whole thing collectively on how how it grew me as a man.
Yeah.
Like how it taught me my core values. Taught me that, you can continue to work and you continue to lead, and you can still have a life outside of it, and you can just the whole thing together, man. I loved the Army. The Army was it for me.
Yeah.
That's why it was so hard to throw in the towel.
You doing all right now that you threw in the towel?
I'm good now. I've done a lot of work. There's still times I wish I was in. But with all the way the world is right now, it's better. I'm right where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm still teaching the kids. I'm a contractor now, teaching on the compound, the simulator. So I still get to get my hands dirty and talk with the guys, talk shop and all that stuff. But I don't have to go on a deployment. I don't have to. If I don't want to go to work, like I'm gonna call my boss and be like, I'm not coming in today. Put me on a PTO or hey, take my 8 hours. I don't care.
Yeah. Shit, that's good because I think that's still serving your purpose as, developing the warfighter.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you don't have to be the warfighter. That's a fulfilling thing. I mean, that's something I miss a lot sometimes too, but I'm like you, I'm happy where I'm at in life right now.
Yeah. I just carried my first set of students through Green Platoon, and I had my buddy, who's another sim instructor, yesterday. He came, and I asked him, I said, hey, man, this is my first set of students. Can you come and just be a guest IP and just ask them whatever you would ask them on this training day? And if they don't know the answer, I need to fix myself, right? And I told the kids that too. I was like, hey, my buddy's going to come, and he's not here to bust your balls. He's just going to ask you the questions. He was the only ask these guys, and just check on me. And, of course, the kids, they love him. They're like, well, if he says something I don't know, I'm just going to say, I forgot. I didn't remember that. I said, no, dude, if he asks you something and you don't know the answer, say you don't know the answer, because that's on me.
Yep.
I'm trying to give, but they knocked it out of the park, and it was great. So I know that was a big validating moment to know that I'm doing the right thing still.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you got that opportunity to keep continuing to serve, man.
That was a blessing to get that job.
Yeah, I noticed you 160. The guys take care of each other.
Yeah,
it's something that I'm very not envious, but it's good to see, man. Like,
it's a brotherhood.
That a brotherhood is out there. You guys are really taking care of each other, because it's important that as veterans take care of each other, especially as combat veterans. So, CFO, wrap that up.
Yep.
Let's touch lightly on how that whole process happens and brings you to where you are today.
Yeah. So, basically what happened is me and my ex, we just started going in different directions, right? We weren't getting along, and
what do you think caused that? Because that's something important that I see happening in a lot of marriages nowadays. That marriages aren't growing together; they're growing separately.
Yep.
But what do you think? What do you think caused that?
We just had to, basically from the very beginning, I never set boundaries. I never said what I wanted to do. I played a chameleon again, because she was a Catholic, devout Catholic. She didn't drink. She didn't do any of those things. I smoked a pack of Newports a day. I was drinking a bottle of whatever, and I literally quit all of it cold turkey so I could court the Master Chief's daughter, right? But I never, in that whole time, said what I like to do, what my boundaries are, and she was on this entrepreneur thing, and I supported her. I'm a great number two. I supported her the whole way through it, and we just went our separate ways. She started a nonprofit for kids in custody, DCS custody, because it's sad My foster son that I had, his name's Zeke. Love that dude. 17 years old. He's 18 now. Probably right down the street. We brought him in. I was not all about it when it first happened because I was doing volunteer work at the local DCS house in Clarksville. It was a mess, whole long story, but I would go over there and bring him food, hang out with them, play ball, just try to speak some life into these kids because they didn't have anybody. And she came up with this program because in DCS, if you're my kid, right, and me and you aren't getting along, you're violent, we fight, whatever, I'm not going to go turn you in and say, you're a great kid, we just don't get along. I'm going to go and say, he's violent, he does all these things, X, Y, and Z is out of control. Well, DCS doesn't talk to the kid. DCS takes what that parent says and classifies them 1 through 4. And if they become a level 3, they might get a placement. If they're a level 4, they're going to be a facility till they turn 18. And then they turn 18, they age out of the foster system, and then what, right?
Damn.
So she started this, which was a beautiful thing, right? But Zeke was our test baby. Well, actually, just this girl named Giselle was our test baby, right? We brought her in. Loved this little girl. She was 17. She's a great girl. She came with us, stayed with us for about a week, and then decided she came to us and said, "Hey, I want to be on my own." And I tried to talk her out of it. I was like, "Baby, you can't be on your own, right? Like you're 17, you still need a home." She wanted to be in the streets because that's what she knew.
Damn.
So I did the appropriate thing, right? We called her caseworker, took her back to the safe house she was staying at. I gave her an air tag. I gave her my business card. And I said, if you need me ever, whenever, you just call me and I'll come get you. I don't care what you did. I don't care where you're at. I don't care the circumstance. I will be there to come get you. And we stayed in contact on and off, but she said she wanted to run, right? She wouldn't run from our house because she loved us, but she wanted to run. So we brought her back. We knew she was going to run. She ran. She ended up getting trafficked. Yeah, it was sad. I watched and here this was my God moment per se. And I knew I had a heart for stopping this because she ended up, long story short, she got picked up by some guy that moves kids around Nashville or around Clarksville for favors, right? We don't know what these favors are, but I can only assume. I saw her little tag. I was in a men's group on a Friday morning. That Thursday she ran. Friday morning, she was early in the morning, she was at a Motel 8, right, or Super 8.
When you say ran, you talking about just exercising? Or?
No. Like she wanted to run from the facility. Like
okay,
run
okay.
Away.
Oh, run away.
Run
okay,
away.
Okay.
So she ran away from the facility, and she was at a Super 8 right there in Clarksville. And I was like, I'm going to go. But then, my ex talked me out of it. She was like, if you go, then you'll blow the spot up and she won't trust you or whatever. And I'm like, I get that, but I don't know what she's doing. So I'm in this men's group, and it's morning time, and I call my buddy who's a cop, and I'm like, hey, man, my foster child's over here. Can you go check it out? He goes, gets his people. They go check it out. They find her clothes on the floor, tore up in the hotel room, and her little icons rolling down to Nashville. So I'm like, okay, that's not cool. All the clothes we had just bought her, underwear and stuff, ripped up on the floor. So I don't know what's going on right now. See her little dot going all the way down to Nashville. She's bouncing around different places. I'm in contact with the police now. And I'm like, hey, she is in a Walmart right now. Can you please go and, intercept her, get her with something, talk to her? We can't. Why not? Because she needs to be in a static location. I mind blown. Don't understand. Not my problem. Long story short, she's in a club that night or a lounge over here on North Nashville. And come to find out the next morning when I woke up, I was in the mall with Zeke, my new kid. And she had been, some prostitutes found her in an alley, brought her to TriStar Centennial. Broke my heart because I called the hospital. I was like, hey, is my foster daughter there, Giselle? And they're like, yes, but you can't talk to her because you don't have parental rights or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So I call her caseworker. Caseworker calls up there, and she talks to Giselle, and this is how sad the system is, right? This girl just got done up wrong, and the caseworker doesn't even go see her. Calls her on the phone and said, hey, the Calcese will take you back right now. Just say the word. She's too far gone. She hadn't hit her bottom yet. Now, everybody's got a bottom, right? And if you don't hit the bottom, you ain't gonna take the help.
Correct.
Right? Hey, she hadn't found her bottom, and she ended up going to juvie, got released back to juvie, and she went back into the system. I still talk to her today. She's doing well. She's 18. I'm going to help her get in the Navy here, or the Marines here, so she wants to be a Marine. I said, hey, whatever you want. I'll give you a pack of crayons on the way out the door. Gonna get her there. But then Zeke started, right? Zeke's 17-year-old. He had been born to a prostitute and didn't know the dad. So we didn't know what he was. Got adopted by a white family down here in Murfreesboro. Mom was a hairdresser. Dad was like a computer engineer of some sort. Had no business raising a young brother, right? They got divorced. It was bad. The dad and them used to fight. Zeke is a problem with authority, right? He still does, but he just didn't listen to anybody. But they used to get in fights all the time. The dad would antagonize him and record it and then say he was violent. They had him dosed up on all sorts of medication. Well, Zeke used to be like 5'4", 130 pounds. Little dude. Well, between when he turned 16, that dude is now 6 foot tall and about 190 pounds. Damn. He's a grown little man, right? And he beat the crap out of him. He beat the crap out of his dad and his adopted dad. They called the police. They showed a video of him being the aggressor, and they never went and picked him up. They just, at 17 years old, he went to jail, and they didn't go pick him up.
Damn.
So he was bouncing around in and out of, houses and stuff like that, and he ended up there in Clarksville, and that's when I started working with him. And we got along great because we have a lot of the parallel paths, a lot of similars, growing up no dad, running the streets, doing all sorts of stuff. He's done some wild stuff, but we could connect, right? My ex, she's a lawyer. She's from West Virginia. She was, her dad raised her. She had a mom and a dad. Her dad raised her. Her dad worked 3 jobs to give her the best life he could. She went to private school. Like, they just didn't connect at all. And she couldn't control him. And so when me and her split, I was getting the kids every other weekend with Zeke, and that didn't last long. But Zeke came to, he came to me and was like, "Hey, I don't want to live here anymore." And I was like, "Well, I'd been asked to go get some mental help because that was the only way I was going to be able to stay in the marriage." So I went to this great place called Onsite, to this trauma camp. It was 5 days. Mm-hmm. Awesome. It empowered me. It taught me that what I was going through was not normal and that things needed to change. So I came back from that, and Zeke, I said, "Hey, let me figure out what's going on, and we'll figure it out." Well, literally the day I got back, I got a phone call and was like, "Hey, come get him." I was like, "All right, cool." So me and Zeke we were in this townhouse over in Clarksville. I couldn't work because Zeke needed full attention. I had to drop him off at school, 7:30. He would get in fights in school. He would, his counselor would call me and be like, "Hey, you need to come talk to Zeke because he's getting angry. He's whatever." So I was on call. I was there for Zeke. I poured everything I had into that kid. And we were just, Zeke saved me because I was in a bad, Zeke and this dog right here saved me because I couldn't stop. I couldn't quit. I couldn't just curl up in a ball and say, "This is garbage. This ain't fair." Whatever the case may be. I had to keep moving, right? Yeah. I had to raise a kid. I had to be a man to teach this kid how to be a man. And I went all in. I didn't work for probably till he was out of the house. So about 9 months, I was literally just living off my retirement, my disability, and racking up the credit card bills. Yeah. So, but we stayed in this little townhouse. It was a mess. We had all sorts of issues, me and him, but at the end of the day, we understood each other. Yeah. Right. At the end of the day, he would do some wild, dumb stuff, and I'd be like, "Bro, you just can't do that. As a young man, you can't be doing these things." And I just try to impress on him, just you can be great. Like, this kid had all the skills in the world to be. Like, I tried to get him to play football. He played football for a little bit, but he couldn't keep his grades up because he didn't go to school for 5-6 years. Nobody held him accountable, so he didn't know how to do basic algebra. So I'm in there learning algebra. Yeah. So we made a decision, right? It was the end of his junior year. He finished, and we were like, this school thing ain't for you, man. There's an adult high school up there. They get you a high school diploma. It's all online. It's all self-paced. Like, they give you a course. You can do it in a day or you can do it in a week, right? You just have to meet certain gates. Me and him finished his high school degree. We got him a high school diploma.
Nice.
He turned 18. There was a lot that happened, but he turned 18, and now he's down here in Nashville, living on his own, trying his best. I talk to him once, twice a week, or whenever he needs some money. Hey, Pops, you got $5 on Cash App? Yeah, I sure do.
Like, what's $5 to do?
Yeah, here's your $5, buddy. Yeah. So,
how rewarding is that? Stepping into his life.
Man, it was. I got to be a dad. I got to teach him how to be a man. I tried to the best I could, and the difference is me and him could have been on the same path.
Yeah.
Right. Me and him could have done the same exact thing.
Yeah. And
I'm trying to tell him, like, hey, this doesn't define you. Right. Whatever you've done so far, and I'm still trying to get him to join the military, but because of all the diagnoses he got when he was a kid from all this other stuff, it's a whole process, and he bounced around a lot. In the military, I got to get 10 years of pharmacy records and 10 years of medical records in order to get him even looked at. And because he bounced around so much, and I'm not his parent, like, I can't go get the medical records. DCS is not very much help with that. So we're still working it, but I would love to see this. Like, he needs the military. He needs to get his ass whooped, and just some good males around him. But he's thriving, doing the best he can right now. Doing dumb stuff, but he knows right from wrong.
Yeah, and that's important. They're always gonna do dumb shit. We just got to make sure they don't do
dumb, regrettable
dumb
dumb shit.
Let's talk about your dog here.
Or so. Don't go.
Is he? How'd you get him? I would like to know that story real quick.
So, Second Chance K9 in Clarksville, great organization. I applied for them like 2 years ago. And I put my name in a hat, and when I got divorced, I had 2 males at my house, not service dogs, but I had 2 males. And these dogs, even when they're not a service dog, like, you come home from a bad day of work, I could kick him straight in the head, and that dude would still just come up to me and love me. Yep. Right? It's unconditional love.
True love right there.
His task, he does deep pressure. He does I call it the Irish goodbye. Like, if I start getting my stuff starts feeling like a little anxiety, like, this dude would just walk out the door and I've got to follow him, right? I can't just let my dog go.
Yeah.
So huge. But the first dog I got was Hella. Hella was a male. She was given to another lady. So anybody in this program for Second Chance K9, you have to be SF. And you have to either have PTSD or TBI. Those are the 3 things that you got to do in order to get in the system, right? So I got all 3, and he called me. I wrote the email address, and I was like, hey, I was just wondering. It's been 2 years. I was like, hey, I was just wondering, where I'm at on the list, or what is. I'm about to go I was gonna go rescue a Mal off of Malinois Dutch and Rescue page. About to go rescue one, and I was like, hey, I just want to know if, maybe I'm on the list or something. He goes, hey, can you come over? It was like December 28th. And he was like, hey, can you come over on January 1st for an interview? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I went over there, and Orso wasn't around yet, right? He was a puppy of one of his dogs. His service dog had puppies, and he was probably 3 or 4 weeks old at that time and wasn't at the property. And he was supposed to be my dog, but then I've always worked with Miles. I've been downrange, working with him, all sorts of stuff. And he was like, you got experience. Hella I gave her to this lady in Bragg. Hella's introverted, right? She doesn't like people, right?
Yeah.
Which is cool, because most service dogs, you don't want them going around and talking and licking and stuff like
Correct.
that. So Hella just stayed right here and doesn't move. But this lady was having like these big parties at her house, and instead of putting Hella up in the room with a bone, she would have her working all through the house.
Damn.
And she was just shutting down.
Yeah.
Travis, a great guy. He gives you like a year of vet bill or a year of veterinary service, and then he hooks you, like, for her, he hooked her up with a trainer out there to keep working it. She didn't go to the trainer. She didn't go to the vet. She thought the dog was like an iPhone. Like, you use it, and then you plug it in, and then you use it again, and she wasn't doing any work with it or anything. So she came back, and she was just a shell of what she was. She's a great dog. I love her. She's just not, her public access is, you just got to watch her, right?
Yeah.
Like, I fly with her, and, like, Orso, when I go through TSA, I just tell him to jump up on my chest, and he'll put his front paws on my chest so they can search him through TSA. Hella, I got to get completely naked. I got to take everything off of her so she doesn't beep when I go through. I put a nylon leash on her and then walk her through, and it doesn't beep, and they just got to check my hands, right? If they went to try to pet her or try to frisk her down, that would not be good for nobody, right? Just not. She ain't the one.
Yeah.
Orso, on the other hand, so I ended up giving transfer her over to my partner now, and they are thick as thieves. She's introverted. She doesn't like to go out and do stuff. They just love each other, and they thrive together. So they're happy. But Orso was a puppy, and originally he was gonna work with me and help me raise Orso and all this other stuff. But he gave me Hella, and great program. Gave me Hella, gave me a kennel, gave me like $300 worth of Kong stuff, food, good, everything. Awesome program. But he had a litter. His dog's name's Kuma, and he was like, "Hey, you could come check out these pups with me, right?" We drove up to Calcese, Kentucky, to go look at the pups, and went and checked them out. And the guy was having problems placing some of them, right? And he was like, "Hey, Kuma is Japanese for bear, Korean for bear." And his military working dog when he was name's Bear, so it's a bear lineage. He was like, "Hey man, would you help me just so I know the dog's going to a good home?" And at that point, I had no business getting another dog. I was in a townhouse. Yeah. I had Zeke. I was trying to figure out what I was doing with where I was at with my kids. Like, it was just not the time. But Phil's a nice guy. I was like, "Yeah, I can do that." And he was like, "Can you name it a bear name?" And I'm like, "I guess so." So Orso is Italian for bear. That's how he got his name. But this right here, I've had him since he was 8 weeks old. He's December 5th he was born, so whatever that math. He's like 16 months now.
He's still a baby.
There's nothing this dude won't do. There's no this dude will jump and move in traffic for me. Like, he is.
He's very those dogs are very smart.
Yes.
And very dedicated to their people.
Yeah, and he's a anti-mal. Like, most of them, he's just been sitting here the whole time. He got up a couple times, said hi, and shook and shake, but he's right back to where he was. I fly with him on airplanes. He just sits there and loves people. Like, he's just he hasn't met anybody he doesn't like.
Yeah. How important was Orso to your recovery and your just daily life?
So with the dog, right, along with Zeke, but with it, like, I can't just shut down. He needs me to feed him. He needs me to take him on a run or a walk. Like, I can't shut down, because if I shut down, then I'm cleaning up piss and shit all over the house. He chews up the furniture, like, whatever the case may be, right? But you have to keep moving. And again, like I said, that's my theme, right? Just keep moving, because if you get stagnant, you die.
Correct. I agree with you. That's what happened with me when I got Bristol. I got my dog from K9 for Warriors down in Jacksonville, Florida. Wonderful program, and I was getting stagnant, and I didn't want to be on all the medications that the VA wants to give us, right?
Yep.
So I said there has to be another something different I could do. So I asked my psychiatrist at the VA, "How can I get a service dog?" Linked me up. I've been with Bristol for 8 years now.
Ooh.
I got to recertify him.
Okay.
And he's getting older now.
Yeah.
And I may retire him soon, because I just want him to be a pet. Because people don't realize he's in vest right now.
Yep.
Like,
he's working.
This is stressful for dogs.
Yep.
Because he just wants to be a dog.
Yep.
And they just want to be dogs. They want to do dog shit, right?
His whole demeanor changes when I put this vest on him. That dude would be popping around, and I put that vest on him. He's like,
Same with Bristol. So I overworked Bristol when I first got him.
Yeah.
He was with me at work 18 hours a day. All day.
Yeah.
And then probably 30 days after I had him, he shut down. Called to the program. That's the first thing they asked me. How long is he working, Jay?
All day.
I'm like, he's working at least 100 hours a week with me. They're like, "Oh my God, he needs a break."
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I started giving him breaks, and I love him a lot.
Man, this dude comes, like today, he rode in a sim. He rides in the sim with me every day. He just goes, lays down underneath the little computer desk and just rides in the sim. He comes, checks on me every once in a while. Like, he saved my life.
That's good, man. I'm happy you got him. I'm happy he has you as well, because it's important that he has somebody.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your campaign with helping veteran fathers.
Yeah.
And being present in their life, and how that came about.
Yeah. So obviously I got divorced. And when I got divorced, all these allegations came up out of nowhere. I've been told I sexually assaulted somebody. I was a drug addict. I was abusive. I was violent. all the big things that are on the list of you can't see your kids anymore, right? The big four, like
Yeah.
you sexually assault somebody or drug or alcohol abuse or violence, any of that stuff. All those came out of nowhere. And I didn't know, I couldn't fight, right? Because if I spoke up and said anything, then I was the angry vet, right? I had he's got PTSD, he's angry. And it just got real frustrating. I shut down for a little bit, like, because I was like, this is not who I am. This doesn't define me, but I can't say anything, so it's not fair. The whole thing transpired. I lost. I didn't lose. I learned. One of the things I can tell guys, if you are, for whatever reason, God forbid, you have to go down this path, get a good lawyer. Get a good lawyer. I did not have a good lawyer. Didn't want to fight for me. Didn't want to, I had a list of, people. I had all sorts of stuff. But
helping somebody out, can you give us some pointers or things to look for in a good lawyer? Because if you just tell a guy, get a good lawyer,
yeah,
they really don't know what that means, right? Because there's a million lawyers out there.
Yep. One, look at their reviews, right? See who they serve, right? See what they're doing in the community, and then one, talk to the guy, right? When it's gonna be your lawyer. Don't just go on the first one and say you're it, dude. Go interview a couple lawyers and ask them hard questions like, hey, if this happens, will you stand up for me, or are you just gonna roll over, or are you a yes man, or are you I'm not a yes man. We're gonna fight this, because come to find out, after I did, I just went and got the first one smoking, right? Because I thought I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything. I just trusted the court system, right?
And just so you know, a lot of men do that.
Yeah.
We just don't know because they're scared shitless, and we're trying to find the fastest thing to make sure we keep our children, right?
Yep.
So, and this is why I asked you, how do we find good lawyers? Because I know there's a lot of men out there right now that are like, man, I need some help.
Yep. Just I would interview them. I put it on Facebook. If you're in like Clarksville, they got all the Clarksville play. Hey, I need a good child custody lawyer, and you'll hear everybody's opinion, and then you make your own decision off of that, right? And then go talk to the people. Be like, hey, this is where I'm at. How do you feel about this? Do you feel like would you defend this, right? And if they seem excited about it or they want to do it, then so be it. But if they're just like, yeah, sure, we'll knock it out. We'll make it happen, Phil. Don't do it. Don't do it, because I don't want to be biased, but the court system is not set up for us.
Oh, definitely not.
It is not set up for us at all. And especially when you've got you guys in our shoes, right? The military gets weaponized against us, right? I've done the work. I've put in the work, right? I'm healed. I'm better. I'm still me, but I'm not what the paperwork says I am, right? But if you never get a chance to speak, or if you never get heard, all what they say, all what you got is that piece of paper that says you have these things, and that doesn't define us.
With every mission, all the combat experience, all the hard shit you've done in life, how important is it to you to have your children in your life?
It's one promise that I told my kids from when they were little, they probably couldn't even hear me, is they will always have a daddy in their life. They will always have a daddy in their life. And I'm still in their life. It ain't the way I want it to be in their life. It's not the way it looks like. It looks bad now, but I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere, ever. I hope y'all listen to this one day. But those kids, man, that's all we got, right? Like, especially from the way I grew up, like with no dad, and mom was kind of in and out. Like, to have a family to go through, like my partner, she grew up in the same house. She got a mom and a dad. She's got all these things. Like, that's irreplaceable, man. To be able to call your pops and be like, dude, this just happened, right? Or whatever the case may be. Or call your mom and like, mom, and she sent you brownies or whatever. Like, the kids need a dad. They need a dad. Like, moms teach them, they love, they coddle, they do all that stuff. And I'm going to miss now, because of all this stuff, I'm going to miss the years where they need a father to, like, hey, life sucks sometimes, but it's okay. Just pick your stuff up. Keep moving. You didn't fail. You're learning. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And to push them. And I'm not saying that women can't do that. I'm not saying that at all. But that's more of that's what we're supposed to do. Like,
correct.
And to have that taken away, it just hurts the kids, man. It hurts the kids. It's like, if me and whoever don't get along, right? That doesn't have anything to do with the kids. Them kids don't deserve that.
Correct. And I will tell you this, and I know you could attest to this. Your children will always think about you. Like, as much as you miss your kids, they miss you, right? They'll come and find you, regardless of what's happening.
I did it.
Yeah, you did it. You lived through it, right?
Yeah.
My dad passed away when I was 2, so I never had that. All right, so I'll always have that empty void in my life.
Yeah.
But this is why I was telling you now, like when we first opened the show, when you go see your dad,
Yeah.
just love that man, because you're gonna make his life complete.
Yep.
Like, I want you to think about that when you get to see your children again and hug them and they're a part of your daily life. That's like life changing, right?
Yep.
And I have a son in Connecticut. Him and I were starting to work on our relationship.
Yeah.
And it's something that's very important to me, even when he thought he didn't want it. And last time I saw him, it's what I was telling you. I brought him around all our family, my side of the family.
Yeah.
And I just saw the overwhelming feeling of love in his eyes. And my mother my mom started crying, his grandmother, he started crying. And I just want him to know, like, listen, man, I've always been here, right? No matter what. And it's something you said profoundly. My 5-year-old that you'll probably meet today.
Yeah.
When she was a newborn baby, I looked her in her eyes. She doesn't know what's going on, right? And I told her, I said, Daddy will never leave you, no matter what.
Yep.
I will be here for you. And it's something that just keep going, brother.
Yep. That's all I can do, man.
Just keep going. What's your ultimate mission with helping veteran dads out that may be going through the same thing you're experiencing right now?
I just want them to let them know that, like, this sucks. Like, there's nobody can sugarcoat this. Like, but you can't sit here and dwell in it. Like, you can't get stuck. Like, if you can't see your kids for whatever reason, you can't get stuck and not do nothing.
Correct.
Right? You got to keep moving. You got to start something. You got to be better so that when it does come around, that you're whole, you're complete, spiritually, physically, mentally. All those things are good, and you're ready to receive them. If you go down a path and you start doing dumb stuff and you get into X, Y, and Z, and then all of a sudden your kids show up and you're Lieutenant Dan looking in a wheelchair, like, that ain't the way to be, y'all.
Correct.
So just by me speaking out, right, I'm not speaking out for me, right? I'm done. My stuff's done. I'm still working on it, but I'm in the long game right now. But for guys right now, I've talked to probably 6 or 7 guys whose buddies have reached out and was like, hey, my friend needs to talk. And I was like, yeah, give me my number. Give me their number. I'll talk to them. And I call and I just speak life into them and just let them know, like, hey, this is hard. This sucks. There's no way to get around it. But it's not the end, right? And before I got to the point now, we're talking to my dad, right? everybody was in the same thing saying you were like, hey, the kids will come around. The kids will come around. I was like, no, they won't. Because I wasn't, right? I was that kid, 36 years. I was like, I don't need my dad. That dad, he left me. He didn't do anything for me. I made it as a man on my own. Well, now the tables have turned a little bit, and now I've got a dad in my life, right? That's a whole nother ball game. And so now there is light at the end of the tunnel for me. I pray to God it doesn't take 36 years. But if it does, I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be smiling. I'm still going to be showing up. And so just don't do anything you're going to regret. Don't do anything dumb. If you feel like, just pause. Take a pregnant pause. Think about it. What are you serving by doing that? Is this out of anger? Because if it's out of anger, throw it away. Because anger serves nothing. Lead with love. Lead with compassion. Lead with that. Because the masculinity, male, alpha role model, all that stuff, right? It's good. There's a place for it, though, right? We got to learn how to lead with love too, because you keep pushing and fighting, it does nothing, right? Just be fluid, right? Just lead with love, lead with compassion, and things will change. I've seen it's changing for me now since I made the change. I did a lot of work. I'll talk about him again. Jeremy Newsom is a lifesaver for me, right? I met him through the Heal the Heroes program, and he's a stock market guru. He's got more money than me and you put together, whatever, even know what to do with. But it doesn't change him. He pours into me and all these other guys like we're brothers, and he just pours all of his energy into us. And he's running for president, hopefully in a couple of years. So good.
Nice.
I'm going to be his Department of Hard Shit guy. But the December 23 is when the last time I saw my kids in overnight, right? That January he hit me up and was like, hey, I'm doing this challenge. And I was like, oh, hell, here we go. It was 12 by 12 by 12. So it was 12 miles every 12 hours for 12 days. I wasn't working, so I had shit to do. So I just started running. So I did that. And then he hit me up and sent me a text message with an Ultra Sign Up. Ultra Sign Up is the website for ultra marathons. And he said, I bet you won't do this. I didn't even look it up. I said, bet, I'll do it. It was a last man standing, which is a 20-minute time cap for a 1.1 mile loop. And you do that over and over and over and over again until there's one man standing. And I did that in Ingham, Idaho. And the first time I ever did anything over a marathon, and I've only done one of those, and I went for 28 hours and 40 minutes and ran 92.6 miles or something like that. Never in my life did even fathom that. But it got me addicted to the ultra world. So now this year I'm doing next weekend I'm doing a 100-mile race down in Swanee, Tennessee. And then I've got these great coaches, Becca Jones and Big John. They got their own little podcast, but they run the Mid-State Mile, which is down here in Franklin. And they got a movie about it. Chad Wright was awesome. He's a SEAL. He speaks on all this kind of stuff too, but he did a documentary on it called One More Mile. I think you can get it on Prime. And it's the same setup, 1.1 mile loop, 20 minutes. You get a break every 12 hours. So if it starts at 7, it's 7 o'clock at night. You get a 20-minute break to transition into dark. And then it starts again for another 12 hours. And you get a 20-minute break. And you just go until there's no man standing.
And you just run around this loop.
This loop, it's got about 330 feet of gain and descent in each lap.
Damn.
So it takes me about 17 minutes to move through it because you can't run up these hills, like a 40% upgrade going up these hills.
Now, do you have to run or can you walk at all?
You can do whatever you want to as long as you finish in 20 minutes. You can crawl if you want to.
Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I realized because I'm a competitive athlete, right? I think I am. And in the running world, I can't lift like I used to because of my back, right? So I put that away. I do light stuff. But in the running world, I would never win a marathon. There's not a chance. I'm not 5'7". I haven't chased zebras. Like, I'm just not doing it. I'm not running 4-minute miles for 26 miles.
Yeah, not happening.
But I can sure as shit go out there and walk for 18 minutes and finish a mile and do it over and over and over and over until everybody's gone. And then I'm the last man standing. So I'm hoping this year I'm going to go down to Franklin and I'm going to win that Mid-State Mile. And then I'm going back to Ingham, Idaho in August and I'm going to win that one too. And I just love it, man. It's addicting because it's all about being mentally tough.
Yeah.
Right? It's all about mental fortitude and just doing work.
Yeah. Keep up the good work, man.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, really. How can people find you on social media? Where can people find you? Got men out there right now that need your guidance, your help?
I'm on Instagram. It's Calcese Fam, Calcesefam. And then I'm on Facebook, Phil Cease, Philcese. And then, yeah, you can DM me and I'll answer. I'm wide open on all of them. Nothing's private. It's all wide open. And if you write me and you need help, I'm going to find it for you.
Where would you like to see yourself in 5 years with this?
In 5 years, I would like to be able to speak on a much larger to vets in general, because right now, just like we were talking about earlier, back in our time, it was frowned upon. Right?
Yeah,
you said you got a problem, people, you kooky, you can't serve anymore. Well, we've come to see now that warfighters are broke. Right? We do dumb stuff, and if we don't talk about it or we don't work through it, them demons sit with you, and they will come up at the worst time when you don't want it to happen.
True.
And there's help out there, guys. There's so much help. The VA pays for 999 visits to my therapist every year, right? That's 3 times a day if I needed to go. I don't, but that's literally the blanket they give you, right? So you just got to go ask for it. It's not going to come find you. If you're waiting for it to come find you, you're going to be in a bad way when it comes find you. It's probably going to be you need to do this or go to jail or something something bad.
You're waking up in a prison.
Yeah. So just go get the help, man.
I agree with you, man. And I'm going to say this, and it may be controversial, but that's okay. The VA has done me right.
Yeah.
All right, here in Nashville, I don't know how the one is in Clarksville.
No problems.
Here in Nashville, the VA has done me right. And what I would tell people is I understand your frustrations. Okay, I get that. But always lead with what Phil was saying. Be kind and loving, man.
Yep.
it's so powerful when people expect us veterans to act a certain way, but then when we get in there and the first thing, hey, how are you doing?
Hey.
You know, and they're just blown back by that.
Yeah.
But in return, because there are a lot of veterans that work at the VA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or there's somebody that works at the VA that had a tie to a veteran.
Yeah.
They'll help you with anything.
Absolutely.
So my experiences with the VA have always been good. I had one negative experience, but besides that,
It's just nothing's going to happen fast.
correct.
Right. So if you're patient, if you need something done right away, go to urgent care. Go. You can go to. They'll cover it. Right. You just got to you follow up and tell your
Yep.
PCM you went and did whatever. But if you need help, like I was, and this is, I love the VA, right? But I messed up my leg, and the PTs on the compound, they can't see contractors. My buddy who helped me with my back, who's still a PT over there, he would see me like after hours and stuff, but I needed to see a PT on a regular basis. And I called wrote my PCM on the portal. I said, hey, I need to see a PT because X, Y, and Z. And they called me within a day, and they were like, hey, the PTs here are backed up 6 months, but we can get you out the community care. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And they gave me a list of all the physical therapists in town and like, pick one. And I was like, all right. So I picked one, and then that office called me like the next day, and I'm seeing a PT twice a week now.
Yeah, they are good about that, man.
Just be patient sometimes. It's a big machine.
Yeah, it is a big machine, and when it comes to your health and your mental health, be patient. For you to lose weight takes time.
Yep.
For you to run a marathon takes time. For you to build muscle takes time. All this takes time. I think the world's getting, their minds convoluted with all the drugs, and I talk about it all the time, all the drugs out there and all the things that people think they get them there, but it's a short-term solution.
It's a Band-Aid.
It's a Band-Aid. Just lift weights, run, find out what helps you with your mental health. Maybe a service dog. The working out's going to help. Grounding. There's so many solutions out there.
Yep.
Find something. All right, I'm going to start asking you some of these questions.
All right.
We'll start wrapping it up.
All right.
What advice would you give a young soldier?
Just when you show up, be prepared to do the work. Do the work, and it will pay off, right? It sucks. Being a young soldier, you're going to do all the crap stuff, but it's a means to an end. You'll get promoted, and then you'll be that guy eventually. So just do the work. Be the best you can at mopping the floor, buffing, whatever it is. Be the best you can. Shine in the dang freaking water fountain with the no-do or the never-doll. Whatever it is, just be the best you can, because it'll pay off. It'll show.
What key lessons do you want to give to all the listeners out there?
Get the help. Get the help you need. It's out there. Like I said, it's not going to come find you. And that's the first step. Is we all think we're fine. We all know how to compartmentalize. We all know how to put our heads down and do work. But that works in the military. It doesn't work at home. You gotta go find somebody to talk to. And again, just like a lawyer, if you're not comfortable with whoever your therapist is, you're not married to them. Go get another one, right? Go interview therapists. Be like, hey, this is what I do. And just be honest, right? Because they're not going to tell on you unless you're going to do something dumb. You got confidentiality with them.
Yep.
If you whatever you did, just be honest with them. They're not going to judge you to your face. But do the work, man. It's hard work, but it pays off. Because I've done a therapy camp. I've been a bunch of men's groups. I've been in therapy for talk therapy for I don't know, since probably 4 or 5 years now, and believe in it though, right? Because I couldn't believe in it when I was still in my relationship, because the answer all the time was find your purpose, find your joy, and I'm like, okay, my joy was saving lives, doing all that stuff, but I couldn't because I had a business to run, right?
Yeah.
And if I did that, then the business would suffer, so I could never step into my purpose, right? Well, when you start believing and actually going all in with therapy, it works.
Yeah.
It will work.
I agree with you, man. Biggest regret?
I don't have any regrets. Everything I've done in my life has served me a purpose somehow, some way. It's taught me a lesson. From my marriages to, my kids to like everything I've done has served me in some way, whether it be a positive or whether it be a lesson. Everything I've done has made me where I'm at today.
What legacy do you want to leave behind? especially for your kids?
I just want them to know in this world that they're about to grow up in, right? That hard work still pays off, right? You still put in the work, and you'll get paid off, right? I know nowadays you got all these entrepreneurs, taking pictures of butterflies and posting them and getting paid $1 million. Like, you watch it on House Hunters, dude's like, I got a $2 million budget. She makes, t-shirts, and he takes pictures of butterflies. And you're like, what the right? Like, come on now. But just, if you show up every day with a good attitude, good spirit, you will lead. People will follow you, and just say what's on your mind. Be a genuine person, right? Just be who you are.
Yeah. 3 words to describe yourself.
Loyal, relentless, and kind.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
So to my younger self, I would definitely be more patient. Let life develop. Don't push narratives, because life's going to happen. Life is going to happen, and either you're with it or you're not. But when you try to push and fight and do all that stuff, like, it doesn't work. It ends up, at some point, it's going to punch you right back in the face.
Closing message. Do you have one?
Yeah, man. If you're out there and you need help, get the help you need. It's out there. If you need help getting the help, call me. Send me a message. I will personally find help for you, because it's out there. There's a plethora of it. Heal the Heroes is an awesome program. I can nominate you today. Hit me up. I'll nominate you. We'll get you going. And enjoy and embrace your family. The Army, if you're in the Army, or if you're not, but if you're in the Army, or if you're in a job, you're in the civilian world, your job will be there. The work's going to be there, right? Your family needs you. Sometimes you got to take a knee, and you got to get the help, and you got to pause for the cause. But your family, your kids, that you can't get that time back. So pour into your family, love your kids. For me, if I had a regret, right, it would be to, in the military, mission first, mission first, mission first. That's what it was. I didn't know any better, right? Yeah. So I was gone all the time. Especially when I went to the unit. I could have rose my hand and been like, hey guys, I need a break. I would have been laughed at, or would have been frowned upon, but I still might have, been in a different space right now. So if you need the help, and you don't need, get the help. If you don't know you need the help, you need the help. Get the help. And just lead with love and kindness, man. Stop fighting, because it ain't going to go anywhere.
Yeah, man. Phil, man, I appreciate you, bro.
Same. This has been awesome. Man,
this is great. I spent the last 3.5 hours with Phil, and, man, I feel like I gained another friend. And
absolutely.
I have nothing but, I know I just met you, right? But like I said, when we're talking off camera, that I believe in connections and energy, right? And I do appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
I remember the pushback I was getting from certain people about, Night Stalkers wouldn't want to tell and all this stuff. And I just want everybody to understand that if you're a Night Stalker, Delta, Navy SEAL, all of us, we all have the same battles.
Yep.
Because we all fought the same fight. It's different levels, right?
Yeah.
And I get it. Some people do some sexy things and all that, but ultimately we're all brothers and sisters in arms.
Yeah.
We all have the same mission in mind, right?
We're all cut from the same cloth, man. If you're not dumb enough, but if you're dumb enough to go sign up for the military and just go face first into it, I mean, yeah, we need help.
Yeah. And it's crazy because we never realize we need the help until we get away from all our crazy people friends, right?
Yep.
Hey, crazy doesn't recognize crazy.
Nope.
We got to get around the normal people. And that's the great thing about becoming a civilian. You start learning these things, right?
Yes, sir.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you. Thank you for being, like I said earlier, the first Night Stalker.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you for being such a badass American, man. You're a kick-ass dude.
Appreciate it, brother.
Keep pushing, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, just keep pushing. And I don't even have to tell you that because you got that dog in you.
Yes, sir.
And as long as put God first, put yourself second.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Regardless of what anyone says out there, there's this taboo out there that men can't put themselves first. but we have to.
I did it for a long time.
All right, we have to put ourselves first, because I realized this 3 years ago, and I'm very passionate about this. The moment I put myself first, that's when I became the man that I love. That's when I became a great father, a great leader, a great mentor, a great friend of my people, right?
Yep.
So all these men out there, put yourselves first. It's for everybody that you have to lead, because we're leaders, right?
Yeah.
God made us to be leaders.
Lead.
Right? Lead.
Step into it.
And you're doing a great job.
Thank you, sir.
No matter what anybody says, you're doing a great job. You look good, your health, all right? You're doing good, man.
I appreciate it.
All right? And I've only known you for a little bit, but just keep pushing forward. And like I said, I appreciate you, all right?
Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity.
No problem, man. Shit, whatever you need from me, let me know.
All right.
And I'm like you, I'm going to start doing more speaking engagements. If I need people, I'm going to grab you up.
Let's go.
All right? So, And in closing, stay bold, stay fearless. Resilience wins battles, and they shape the stories that we tell. It's the adversity that we go through every day. This is Heroes Have Wings. I'm your host, Jason Santiago. This is my buddy, now friend and kick-ass American, Phil Calcese, and we'll see you next episode. Thank you for tuning in to Heroes Have Wings, where we honor the extraordinary stories of grit, sacrifice, and resilience. Remember, every hero's journey starts with a single step, so take yours today. If you love this episode, like, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, keep pushing limits, breaking barriers, and living your truth. I'm your host, Jason Santiago, and this is Heroes Have Wings, where legends rise.